Good morning, friends, and we made it to Fry. Yay. Let's see who I missed. I see Summer Thunder made it in. Brit's in the house. Hello, Asher. How have you been? Nana Banana, Glenn's in. Danielle. Danielle said perfect timing. So glad I got this notification. Me too. Sometimes YouTube works, sometimes it doesn't. Hello, Lydia. Bonnie. There's my man DT. Two Boston Mom says, Brooks, your intro music just hits different. From day to day, it does. Hello, Kaleida Hope. Snazzy is blanching green beans to freeze. Yum Yum, Rogue House, take it easy. JD Butter, where have you been? What's going on? It's been a minute. Glad you're back. Hello, Fed Up. Hello, True Crime Beat. Trouble made it. I guess that means we're all in trouble. Hello, Izzy. What a case. What a crazy case. We have a room in Discord, okay, about this case. Hello, Mrs. O, SRB. We have a room in Discord, and I had several emails yesterday, a lot of messages, and we're all over the place with this case. There's some people that are like, it's a hoax altogether. It is a hoax altogether. He's in on it. 17 is age of consent. At 17, people graduate high school, move out, get a job. You guys have had some super good points. Let's take a second. First off, thank you, Kat, for the super sticker. Thank you, Izzy, for the super sticker. Me love you long time. Let's take a second and tell everybody hello and happy Friday. Glenjamin's dancing. Hello, Texaholic. So we know from the press conference yesterday, which was tacky AF, because they couldn't even show Rudy and the case and the people of Houston the respect they deserve by just talking about the case. They're talking about politics, dash cams, under budget. The mayor put more money in our budget. Come on. So when they did talk about Rudy, they said, well, he's going to need to talk to us. Now, hold on. Hold the phone. I thought there was a detective in the room when Mr. X, Quanell, was at the hotel and got all this information. I don't know. Nothing makes sense. And, here's the thing. That's what detectives do. They investigate when victims don't come forward. You see, dead people can't talk. So because you can't get a dead person to talk to you, doesn't mean you don't investigate a murder. There are people in the hospital incapacitated from severe abuse that can't talk, but they investigate. There are people that are too traumatized to talk. We know Janie is a scammer. We know this has Netflix written all over it. But what also is bigger than the broadside of a barn is the fact that Houston police have gotten it wrong again. You see, they have a problem with their mayor, who has even said that pedophilia is a mental illness. We know who the DA is bought and paid for by. If you guys remember, I had a Facebook group several years ago before I had a channel There used to be a Facebook group for just about every case. A girl named Sierra Rod, Harris County. Hello, Tiffany. It was a horrific case. Her brother, her mother, and this ring of hoodlums. It was like the movie Alpha Dog. It was basically catch and release. They'd slap him on the hand, let him go. And there was all kinds of drugs going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Well, one night, one of the Alpha Dogs and a girl named Emma Pressler, who did horrible things, drove by and shot up the house. Sierra heard something. She stood up, and through the window, she was killed. Now, these kids should have been locked up way before. We also know about the whole Astral World situation with the concert. Something should have been done there. Something should have been done there too. Thank you, Connie, for the super sticker. Love you, love you. Thank you. Houston PD has got to step it up. But the police are only as strong as their DA, their mayor, and their judges. And what they have going on there is weak. It is weak. And I know this is an unpopular opinion, but it has worked in other cases. Rudy is an adult. Charge him. It's only a misdemeanor, like they said. Charge him for giving fake names to the police. Throughout the course of that investigation, more will come out about his mother. I promise it will. They can charge you one day and drop him the next. They do it quite often to get to the big fish. It's nuts. Magenta's in the house. Hello, Magenta. Let's get to some comments. You guys have had a lot to say about this, and I love it. Yesterday, Snazzy and I were going back and forth on Facebook in our messengers, and she said, it pisses me off if a grown woman tells the police that she is a victim of domestic violence, they do not send her home with the abuser. Hello, make it make sense. Make it make sense. I'm with you, Snazzy. It doesn't make sense. Tracy Smith said, in my opinion, Rudy is in danger and literally needs to have someone intervene to break the mind control she has over him. She said, seriously, this woman has all his personal information. So I tell you, Rudy's mom has life insurance on Rudy he doesn't know about. So how far do you think she will go? His life is in danger. I agree with Tracy. There was also a life insurance policy on his brother left to Rudy. Well, who do you think, if something happened to Rudy, would get that money? Janie. Extra AF said, maybe an unpopular opinion, but I think they aren't pursuing charges right now, in all caps, because Rudy is not complaining to Ellie, and they have to have time to collect the evidence. It's been 8 years. Rudy may be even party to some of the shady things going on. Like the officer said, 17 years old is the age of consent in Texas. It's in many states. People graduate at the age of 17. She said, I'm questioning, why did Rudy tell the activist guy all of those intimate details of abuse? Stockholm Syndrome doesn't apply here, she says. The characteristics of the syndrome states that there's no previous relationship between the captor and the victim, so a parent wouldn't garner that type of sympathy. And the victim wouldn't run away and say they're tired of being treated like a slave. The victims have to be convinced to turn on the kidnapper. Did Rudy know Mr. X before? Now, from what I'm understanding, the activist was called by Rudy's mother for help. And then all of this came out. She wouldn't have called him if she thought all that was going to come out. It could be part of a running more game. Why did the activist go to the media so soon with those things he was supposedly told when Rudy didn't make a formal complaint? That could be detrimental to his physical and therapeutic well-being. Now, I'm on the fence about this, and let me say why. Had the advocate not told us what, and particularly the people of Houston, what Rudy confided in him, well, then this would just be all over. There wouldn't be a snowball's chance in Cuba of him ever getting any justice and getting away from his mother. Good news is I do understand he's with his aunt now and does not want to go back to his mom. She said this goes on from Extra AF. He visited neighbors. The woman stayed in the same house. Why didn't she move away with him? So many things aren't adding up. Janie may be scandalous. She may be abusive. This could all be a farce. I'm sensitive to all victims, but I don't ignore my instincts. For years, people believed Sherry Papini was kidnapped. Her story had holes in the beginning, and it took a while to gather the information that blew it wide open. She said, I'm waiting to see what happens. And that's a very fair assumption because we don't know. We don't know. Snazzy, thank you for the super sticker. Said, law enforcement best hope it's all a hoax, because if anything happens to Rudy, they will have blood on their hands. DV laws are in place to protect the state from liability and to protect adult victims. You're 100% right. You're 100% right. I just do not believe that this man, whether you like him or not, Cornell. Oh, do we have gift memberships? Did somebody gift memberships? Hang on. Well, thank you, Mama Bear. Mama Bear gifted a membership. Rexy said, I don't know what to believe. I haven't heard anything about any mental incapabilities. I haven't heard anything like that. I know he wasn't going to school, but I don't think that was because he couldn't keep up with the work. It just gets crazier and crazier. I really don't know what to make out of it. Multiple people saw him. Now, they said in the press conference yesterday, she filed a police report saying he was missing. She never called them to say he's not missing anymore. They said that's a Class C misdemeanor. Fine, slap her with it. Who cares? Do it. Do what they do in every other city, Houston. Stack the deck. Telling me this DA doesn't know how to make it into a felony? Look at all the resources that were wasted for 8 years. I'd be spitting mad. I'd be spitting mad if I was them. All right, let's get to it. And I'm going to put the link up. I want to see what you guys think about this.
Of where Rudy Farias has been during the past 8 years and what they say he told them in an interview yesterday.
With him yesterday, it was discovered that Rudy returned home the following day on March 8th, 2015.
Several new developments coming out of that news conference with you.
Okay, so he came home the following day, as we know. Now, if you look at this from one of the alt personalities of Janie Santana's, her sister, supposedly Bella, which is actually her. This was in 2016. Rudy, where are you? It's been over a year now, and still no sign of Rudy anywhere. This is also Rudy's mom's, Janie's, second Mother's Day and birthday, and once again, they have both come and passed. Yet again, and tomorrow, his mom, Janie Santana's birthday, and another year without her son, with her, and still no sign. Then it says, it's a GoFundMe. It says, click here to support, help bring Rudy home. Rudy was at home. Rudy was in the kitchen making Pop-Tarts when Janie's boyfriend saw him. And she's like, oh, don't pay attention to that kid. Don't worry about him. So, I mean, she kept the GoFundMe going a year after, and he came home the next day. Now, remember, everything that the advocate said has been backed up. He said, Rudy told me that he ran away for a couple of days and he came back home. He was told that multiple agencies are looking for you. I have to hide you. So we know that. Many neighbors have backed up the inebriation claims and that he was using a different name. Marlena said, law enforcement complaining about needing upgrades, yet Janie was wasting all those resources for 8 years and had a GoFundMe on top of it.
Houston police investigators. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. I'm Andy Serra.
And I'm Haley Hernandez in for Lisa. Houston police say right now Rudy Farias is safe and with his mother by choice. KPRC2 investigator Mario Diaz is live at HPD headquarters with what else we're learning about the case. Mario?
Yeah, this is a story that has had several chapters written since Rudy Farias was discovered a week ago. And now we have the latest chapter being written behind me here at HPD headquarters in the last hour with this news conference where it was revealed that Rudy Farias, the day after he disappeared 8 years ago, returned to his home. He has been with his mother the entire time, according to HPD. HPD also revealing that they have had contacts with Rudy Farias over the years, as well as his mother. But during those actions that they had with them, Farias and his mother used fictitious names. They also...
Okay. And again, I know it's not a popular opinion. Go ahead and charge Rudy. He wasn't missing. Go ahead and charge him for that. And throughout the investigation, you're going to get to the bottom of what's going on. You will. You get a couple of attorneys going back and forth, they're going to get to the bottom of it. They press charges all the time and drop them the next. It's a good bargaining tool.
Also said that Rudy, on occasion, when they came across him, used a fictitious name. It was an intriguing news conference, to say the least, considering everything that has gone on to this case in recent days. However, HPD made it very clear that he is with his mother by choice. They're treating him as an adult, and this has been a case of an adult that went missing, but eventually returned home. And as for stiff charges tied to this case, well, they're continuing to investigate. Here's a bit of how the news conference went. I will tell you that Chief Finner made it very clear that his department is not done investigating this case. They did reach out to the DA's office yesterday afternoon. However, they were unable to file any charges on this case. There was no probable cause, is what we're hearing from the department. Again, the case remains under investigation, but
They always say that it remains under investigation, and that's fine. It'll remain under investigation until the gavel goes down. We know how that goes. This is not our first rodeo. And Tiffany had a great point. Accidental deaths pay double. So he got a nice lump sum when his brother died. But they say there's no probable cause. No, when you give a fictitious name to the police, that's probable cause. I'm no attorney, but that would be a probable cause. They're just not wanting to do something here. And I don't know if it has to do with her husband that used to work at Houston Police, this slimy district attorney, just regular Houston business. Like I said, when I opened the show, I told you about Sierra Rod. We talked about Astro World. Elizabeth Gregory, where have you been, my friend? We haven't seen you in forever, you old stranger.
There are many, many people, including Rudy's family, who is standing right behind me here. As you can see, they've been addressing the media for the last 20 minutes about what has happened. They say they want justice. They want the ability to have Rudy's mother held criminally accountable for what has taken place, because they say we have not seen our loved one for 8 years. Now, I did ask that question specifically at the news conference, because keep in mind, if you file a missing persons report, then you are filing a complaint on a document. That is an official record. And then if you don't ever report the person coming home, is there a criminal act there? HPD Chief Troy Finner confirmed there was. His spokesperson, John Cannon, saying it's a misdemeanor.
So charge her with a misdemeanor. Charge her with a misdemeanor. Why not? She gave fake names too to the police. That is a crime. And let's be real here. Texas is tough on crime, but there's something weird going on in Houston.
Off to the side during the news conference. And that would be the one charge that they could possibly at this time examine with regards to Rudy Farias' mother. But again, it's been an intriguing morning here. According to HPD, at this time, no charges have been filed. They are continuing to investigate. And the biggest point stressed by Troy Finner, the chief of department, was that throughout this entire time, Rudy Farias in the state of Texas was an adult. He was not a child. I'm being told that we do have some sound from the news conference. Let's go and hear what some of that news conference was like.
We can't release details pertaining to that.
Okay. So quick clarity. Was he 17 at the time that he was missing?
Yes, sir. That's
Yes.
correct.
So he's 25.
He's
25 now.
25
Yeah. Go ahead, Mario. I'll get y'all. How about go ahead.
Was there a missing persons report filed by his mother at the very beginning?
That was in March 7th, 2015.
So there was a missing persons report that was filed.
Correct.
And so this is what I'm asking on this end. Could the mother be detained for filing a missing persons report and never once informing HPD that he came home?
Yes, she could be reported or detained. That offense is a Class C misdemeanor, which is similar to a traffic citation.
Right.
See, basically, they just got shut down by the DA. It's a Class C misdemeanor. The DA doesn't want to mess with it. And I mean, I will say Houston has a lot going on. I bet that DA's office is busy, busy, busy. Wist had a very good point. Financial crimes are a felony. They're a felony. This GoFundMe that I put up on the screen right here, and they did collect money from it, was in 2016. She said he's been missing for a year. We know now he came back the next day. She was hiding him out, but they were collecting money. She got another family member to take her to California because she said there was a Rudy sighting. Financial crimes are felonies. They could be digging into this. Financial crimes take a long time to put together. But that definitely could be looked at. Because he wasn't missing and she was taking money through her fake profile, Bella.
He's a grown man. 20. Listen to what I'm saying. If you want me to answer, no, he was an adult, 17. Hold up, okay. Not confrontational. I respect what everybody does, okay. But 17 years old, that's an adult in the state of Texas, okay. A lot of things that we shared up here, so we're gonna work our way through it. It takes a little while. There's a lot of development still, even last night, okay. We know that. Everything's coming up. We're going to investigate it. The integrity is going to stay in place. We're going to treat him the same as any other person that comes through.
And as HPD investigates this case, I can tell you that KPRC2 is investigating this case as well. We are working through so many different angles on this story. For the very latest in coverage, you can always find it on click2houston.com, as well as newscasts at any point throughout the course of the day on Channel 2. But that's the very latest here downtown Houston. Mario Diaz, KPRC2 investigating.
Poor old Mario keeps getting his ass kicked all week. The chief's like, hang on, Mario. Hang on, Mario. They were out at some fireworks place, and Mario came across the chief asking him about Rudy. Okay, OJ, I'm not doing this with you right now, honey. You're going to have to lay down. Go get your pounce and eat that. He comes across the chief because the chief was all mad about people firing guns into the air for 4th of July. So he was trying to give his warnings about not raising hell for 4th of July. Well, there's Mario chasing around the chief. And the chief's like, I will address that when I'm ready. Mario, you know how we do things around here. Yeah, I think we all know how you do things around there. I think we got that down. I think we got it. We're all in the know. Now, as you remember, we saw this yesterday. I'm not going to play the whole thing. It's on 2 Houston. When Janie was confronted in the driveway, Janie was concerned about being arrested. She said, they want to arrest me for hiding him. Well, they had her in cuffs, according to a family member, but then they let her go. There's obviously something going on. Something big.
That's right, Rudy. Neighbors tell me they saw Rudy and his mother here in their driveway at their home. They say the mother did not stay long, but she did appear to be worried about being arrested. From a distance, neighbors took video of Rudy Farias' mother loading up a car in her driveway Tuesday night.
When he first went missing, he didn't report it to the police, and they're trying to say that he might have done some crimes, which he didn't, and now they want to arrest me because they said I was hiding him.
Her 25-year-old son vanished 8 years ago.
And that's one thing that the chief was very adamant about. Now, hold on. He said he's an adult. Well, what if he had gone missing at 12 and showed up at 30? Would he still, would you say, hang on, this is an adult. Look at J.C. Dugard. I understand there's a big difference between 17 and 12, but he's an adult now. You can't tell me he has not been victimized in that home. So glad Elizabeth Gregory is back on summer break. Thank you for the super sticker. Look at Janie again. I tell you what. This woman is going to knock the socks off of Netflix.
First took video of Rudy Farias' mother loading up a car in her driveway Tuesday night.
When he first went missing, he didn't report it to the police, and they're trying to say that he might have done some crimes, which he didn't, and now they want to arrest me because they said I was hiding him.
Well, I believe she was hiding him. I believe she was. Too many broken laws for no kind of charges. Has to be more behind this. Thank you, Jules, for the super sticker. I see Tanya gifted memberships. Woo! We have a lot going on. Thank you so much, Jules, and you're right. I'm no lawyer, and I can see laws being broken. Look at Janie again. She seems very confident in her statement.
Video of Rudy Farias' mother loading up a car in her driveway Tuesday night.
When he first went missing, he didn't report it to the police, and they're trying to say that he might have done some crimes, which he didn't. And now they want to arrest me because they said I was hiding him.
Her 25-year-old son vanished 8 years ago at age 17.
It's just we've always, in our hearts, knew that he wasn't really missing.
During those 8 years, his cousin, Cassandra Lopez, says she called 911 in 2018 after family members saw Farias at his mother's home. She says their grandmother told her she spoke with Rudy often.
And how did those conversations go? And she would talk about Rudy.
She would just say, I saw Rudy, he came to check on me, and, we just said hello and have their little conversation. She never went into detail, but she would say she saw him.
HPD says officers responded but didn't find him. Neighbors tell me Farias has been living with his mother this entire time, but they know him by the name Dolph. Did you ever notice anything suspicious over there?
No, like when he talked to us, he doesn't say too much on who he really is. We just know that he lives down here with his mom. He goes to work with her around 6 p.m. to maybe 7 or 8 in the morning. And he just been freely walking down the streets.
Neighbor.
Freely walking down the street. We seen him leave at 6 o'clock at night. Now, the advocate said that when he would go to work with his mom, he was doing her job for her. And the DA just wants to keep saying, well, adults can do what adults want to do. He's 25 years old. If he wants to go to work with his mom and do her job for her, that's his business. Of course, we know the big I, and you know what word I'm talking about, is a crime. No matter what. I don't care how old you are. It's a crime. And then look at this. Hi, Rocky. Can you give me a call back, please? It's Dolph's mom. This is just crazy. Now, one guy spoke out yesterday in regards, he was actually in support of the DA's office. I'm not. I don't care if it's a misdemeanor. I don't care what it is. Get to charging. Get to charging. And don't get me wrong, I am well aware that in Houston, they've got a lot of fires to put out. They got a lot going on there. I got it. But every victim is important. Like I said in the beginning, when they said, well, we need to talk to him. If he won't talk to us, what can we do? Get real. We know there are people that are too traumatized to talk. We know there's domestic violence victims that say, oh, no, we just had an argument. And they're like, no, it doesn't work that way. You don't have to cooperate with an investigation as a victim in order for them to charge someone. It doesn't work that way. As we know, dead people can't talk. And they still investigate murders. They don't say, well, shucks, I can't talk to the person they killed, so it looks like my hands are tied. Doesn't work that way.
Questions surrounding Rudy Farias. Many are wondering why his mother is not facing any charges.
Our Rochelle Turner spoke to KPRC2 legal analyst Brian Weiss and joins us live from the district attorney's office downtown with the latest. Rochelle?
Daniela, a spokesperson with the district attorney's office, said there wasn't enough probable cause in this case. However, our legal analyst Brian Weiss says that's what makes this case so unique.
I think that the district attorney's office made the right call in declining any or all of these possible charges.
KPRC2 legal.
Do you guys think that the Houston district attorney's office made the right call? Because I don't. This guy's a tool. This guy's a whole toolbox. He's a tool belt. He's ridiculous. They made the right call. Let me tell you something right now. If the police pulled me over And I said, oh, I don't have my ID with me. I'd get in trouble for not having my ID. If I'm walking down the street and they say, what's your name? And I say, oh, my name's Tiffany. And they find out later my name is Brooks, they're going to come down on me like 1,000 hammers. So why aren't they doing anything just with that? Start with that and build forward.
Legal analyst Brian Weiss is referring to the case of Rudy Farias. Today, Houston police said the Harris County District Attorney's Office declined to charge his mother, Janie Santana, for making up fake names and failure to properly identify Farias after he was reported missing 8 years ago.
I think that Rudy's mom isn't facing any charges for the same reason that on a daily basis, the district attorney's office rejects requests from law enforcement to file charges. Either the wholesale lack of evidence, the fact that the conduct charged, alleged, doesn't fall within a penal code provision, a combination of both.
Officials say there wasn't enough of a probable cause yet. Weiss says detectives were looking at 3 possible charges.
From falsely identifying yourself to a peace officer, reporting falsely a missing child, and then making a false report to a peace officer, viewed through the prism of what these penal provisions entail and the facts as they seem to be coming out.
He looks like a penal, if you know what I mean. Look at his head. He looks like a whole penal to me. The penal provisions. The law is the law. Look at that penal on the screen. The law is the law. Seriously? You give the police a fake name, penal face, you're in trouble. Look at him.
Once again.
Now, if the district attorney's office does decide to charge Rudy's mother, Janie Santana, she would be facing a Class C misdemeanor. The fines could range from a fine to up to a year in jail. Reporting live from downtown from the district attorney's office, I'm Rochelle Turner.
Yeah. Penal dysfunction, Glenn said. Penal dysfunction. Word of the day, like Pee-wee's Playhouse. Penal. Figure out a way to use it, because you're going to be needing this word today. My goodness. It doesn't fit a penal code, as he's sitting there looking like an uncircumcised one. Whew. Makes me so mad. And he's an attorney. He knows if the DA wants to slap it down, they can. My God. Whew. All right, now we get to the family. The family is furious. They're as mad as a penal that can't pee in the morning, if you know what I mean. They are mad. They want to know why there's no charges on Janie Santana, who, by the way, goes by different names, as we know. This is one of her profiles, Alexis Santana. This is not our girl Janie, let me tell you. This is her profile, Bella, where she's been getting the GoFundMe money. Right there. Alexis Santana. She said she broke her wrist. Turns out to be a picture from Twitter. But that's the real Janie. She's a catfisher. She's a scammer. She likes the penal, too, if you know what I mean. Because she had a boyfriend in the house that saw Rudy. And she said, oh, that's not him. Don't pay attention to him. He's just making a Pop-Tart. Get back to bed or make me one too. Thank you, Mama Bear, for the super sticker. She said, I'm working, listening. Did I hear penal head? Yes, you did. Yes, you did. So the family's fired up. They're furious about this.
And tomorrow, community activists say they will demand that the mother of Rudy Farias be charged.
That's after police confirmed today she lied about her son being missing for the past 8 years. And tonight, some of Rudy's relatives got to see him for the very first time since 2015. We have team coverage for you tonight. First, Matt Doherty talking to Rudy's aunt just a few hours ago after she visited him at a home that he's staying at right now. Matt.
Pauline Sanchez says after speaking with her nephew today, he wants nothing else to do with his mother. She says she believes the allegations that Quan Alex made yesterday are true.
Get away from my house. Get away from my house.
Things did not start cordially this afternoon when the aunt of Rudy Farias showed up to this home in East Houston to pay her nephew a visit.
I want to press charges. She's not here.
Okay, look at this chick. She's madder than a wet hornet. I'm going to press charges. Good luck with that, district attorney. What are you going to press charges on? Standing in the street? What are you going to do? Standing in the street? She's not here. She's not here. I'm going to press charges. She needs some penal, if you know what I mean. She's all fired up. Look at this.
Yesterday are true.
Get away from my house. Get away from my house.
Things did not start cordially this afternoon when the aunt of Rudy Farias showed up to this home in East Houston to pay her nephew a visit.
I want to press charges. She's not here. Where's the warrant for Janie Sanchez? Then come to my house when you got a warrant.
Pauline Sanchez told us Rudy is staying with a friend of his mother's, but when Pauline showed up at the house, the woman inside called 911. Refused to let her in the door.
That's what she said too. Rudy's in there, but she's not willing to speak of anybody at this time.
But later on, Sanchez's son was first allowed inside to see his cousin, and then Sanchez herself was eventually allowed to see him too. Okay, Pauline, so this was the first time you've seen him in how long?
Since 2015.
She says she gave him a blessed rosary from the Holy Land.
This woman is breaking my heart. She's breaking my heart. And I know there's some people that are really against the advocate that did not insert himself. Please remember that Janie Santana is the one that invited Q, Mr. X, whatever you want to call him, to help them. And then he gets all this information and he turned on her. Mama She, thank you for the super sticker, said Friday's word of the day, penal. Penal head, penal enlargement, penal flap, limp penal.
It was beautiful. Very beautiful to see him. We hugged until I finally let go.
Sanchez says Farias will clearly need professional help for what he's endured. She told us her nephew is getting to choose where he lives for the first time and whether he wants to see his mother, Janie Santana.
He made the statement that he doesn't want to see his mom. He doesn't want to go back to his mom.
Sanchez says she did not ask Farias about it, but believes what he allegedly told activist Quan Alex yesterday, that he'd been drugged and physically and sexually abused by his mother for years.
But if Rudy told Mr. X what in reality happened, everybody has to believe that story.
Janie Santana has not been charged with a crime, although her family says they would like for her to be arrested. Grace White is looking into why no charges have been filed. Grace.
We've spent hours tonight trying to reach Rudy's mom at home and at work to hear her side of the story. I also tonight called the district attorney's office to ask why they decided to not file charges. They told me there's simply not enough evidence yet.
Hi, Janie. Grace White, Channel 11. There's still no answer from Janie Santana. I tried calling the mother of Rudy Farias this evening after Houston police held a press conference today.
Currently, the DA has declined any charges at this time for making fictitious reports and failure to ID.
The last time I saw Santana, she sped away from our cameras yesterday after initially agreeing to talk to me. That was until activist Quanell X went public with allegations of Rudy being abused. Quanell says he was in the room with Rudy and HPD detectives when Rudy made those accusations. However, today, HPD said Rudy never told them he was sexually abused. They do confirm Rudy was never really missing for 8 years.
The mother, Janie, continued to deceive police by remaining adamant that Rudy was still missing. She alleged her nephew was a person friends and family were seeing coming and going. However, we disputed that.
He hasn't checked his Facebook. He hasn't checked email.
That was Santana in 2016. We dug into our archives to find an interview she did with KHOU during a nationwide Bring Them Home campaign to highlight the missing. She talked to us 1 year after she claimed her son disappeared.
That's why we know that he wouldn't just get up and go on his own.
Okay, she's not even showing her face, which I can't say that I blame anybody for that on the TV. But she did this a year later, knowing that he was at home. Knowing that he was at home. She still had the GoFundMe going, which is illegal. That's a financial crime. You guys have seen those GoFundMe frauds.
That's not him.
During that interview, Santana claimed detectives told her Rudy may have been kidnapped and sold for human drug trafficking. However, today, HPD determined Rudy actually returned home the day after he ran away and had been home ever since.
We're going to conduct our investigation, and we're kind of right at the beginning of it.
Police told us tonight this case is still active and they're still getting new leads. They say they'll investigate any new information they get. In North Houston, Grace White, KHOU 11 News.
Okay. I just cannot believe that a year later, knowing that he was alive and well, was still raising money, gave him a new name, basically. If I filed a false police report, let me tell you what, they'd come after me. Snazzy sent me something very, very interesting. We very rarely have breaking news around here, so you can thank Snazzy. Get ready for this, everybody. Woo! Got to get my readers on. For immediate release, breaking press conference demanding the mother of Rudy Farias to be charged. Who? Civil and human rights activist Dr. Candace Matthews. When? Friday, July 7th, 5 p.m. Why? We demand that charges be brought on the mother of Rudy Farias. Further comments will be made at the press conference on Friday. Well, don't you love that Anchorman intro? That's a good penal, if you know what I mean. I don't know if they're going to get their way, but we'll see. All right, Navalis had this on yesterday. This was also on several other channels. The family is furious that there's no charges on Janie. They know she's done wrong for years. But the internet does what the internet does, and they always look the other way. They don't look at who is really doing the wrong. I mean, they're picking on these people. They're picking on the family. Well, why didn't they do something? They didn't know where his ass was. They were told that he had been spotted in California. He had a bag on his head going to Mexico. He could be in Irving, Texas. He was spotted in Dallas. You name it. They've been told all kinds of stuff. The dude that was making Pop-Tarts was just a nephew, and they're like, what nephew?
A lot of people in the HPD, so I'm gonna have to say, I'm not quite sure, but I'm gonna have to say she knows a lot of people in HPD, and that's why her freaking ass has been covered up.
That's what Quanell told us
I think
yesterday.
the police are hiding something. They know that Janie comes from a background of HPD. Chief of police could have brought out Quanell X's statement because my nephew Rudy Farias, who so-called quote unquote was missing since 8 years ago, 2015, and those fake hospital pictures were fake from 2012. Quanell's statement should have been brought up because Quanell is here to help. It's very rare that he would come out and speak up on behalf, and my nephew Rudy would have never talked if Janie was around, okay? Janie is a hypothetical liar, manipulative. She knows a lot of people in the HPD, so I'm gonna have to say, I'm not quite sure, but I'm gonna have to say she knows a lot of people in HPD, and that's why her freaking ass has been covered up.
How are you feeling about no one being charged?
No hay cargos. And that's the first day. How is a mom going to do something to her child knowing that that is very wrong and that's crucial, okay? It runs in the family, in her family. And I'm very pissed off, and I don't want to bring my past up because of Santana's stepfather, and I'm sorry to say that, I grew a hard life, but because of her father that sexually abused me. So
Okay, so she's saying this runs in the family. This has happened before. So we have a generational problem. I can't believe people are attacking this woman. I cannot believe people are attacking this woman. She's a clout chaser. She didn't want anything.
it runs in her freaking family.
Are you saying that someone should be charged in this case?
Yes, there should be charges.
Estamos bien enojados. ¿Cómo no van a hacer nada? Y ellos están diciendo que no van a hacer nada porque no hay pruebas. ¿Cómo chingados no van a ver si hay pruebas o no? Si lo llevan a Rudy para que lo chequeen.
Yesterday, when we were at the hotel, they had her, from what I believe, I didn't get there on time because I was doing other stuff. They had her in handcuffs. Why in the freaking world did they let her go while she was in handcuffs? Because they made one phone call to a district attorney, whoever he was, and said, what, let her go. There's nothing to follow any evidence.
Do you believe that she should be charged with something?
Yes.
She's done to Rudy, but falsifying that he had been kidnapped, taken to Mexico, that he had been spotted in other states. She had people all over the United States looking for him.
Investigators
Doing this damn GoFunding me account.
See, this is so important. This is so important. When she said she had people around the United States looking for him. Hell, she got a ride to Disneyland because she said there was a sighting of Rudy. Now, me, I would have been like, well, are the police going to go make contact with this person. Oh no, I have to go after we go to Disney World because I want to do that Space Mountain shit. I'd have been like, oh, well, maybe you're just asking me for a free ride for a vacation. But, okay. And like she said, all the GoFundMe stuff, that is a financial crime. That is a financial crime. Depending on how much money was collected, depends on that would be the penalties.
Now, fraudulently taking money when the son was there. And I don't mean to bring this up. God rest our mom in peace. But when my mom was under our home health where I work at, I would go visit her because she would never answer her freaking phone. I would go knock at her door. It would take Janie 20 minutes exactly, because I would time it to answer the freaking door. During the time, and my heart tells me something is going on, I would finally see my mom all dirty, malnourished, really filthy, and going in her bedroom so filthy that it was a shame.
Colleen, can I just ask you, investigators said over and over again that they had made...
She said it was filthy, she should be ashamed. So we have Houston's version of Candace Wells, do we not? Money scam after money scam, can't clean a house, loves the penal.
Contact with both Rudy and his mother over the past 8 years. They gave fake names on multiple occasions, both of them. Your reaction to hearing that?
If that was fake names giving because Rudy was coerced by his mom to lie, and she manipulated Rudy to say what it was. Once again, I'll bring the subject up. Had Quanell X not been there yesterday at the hotel and took Rudy aside to talk to him, Rudy then felt the comfortness to talk to Quanell X and bring every freaking thing that she did to our nephew. How in the hell is a mom going to do that to her own kids? Even my own mom, when she was alive, God rest her in peace, that we had to bury her because she couldn't take this shit anymore from Janie. You know, it's horrible. My mom would tell me in person, Rudy is here, Rudy is here. I would go and try to open the doors, and she would say, what are you doing there? I said, I'm just seeing if I left something behind or whatever. My mom never lied. She always said my mom had dementia. Yes, my mom finally got her Alzheimer's at 80-something years old when my sister Sylvia finally took controlship of her. You know, this is hard, but we promised her mom we would make justice, that this would come to light.
Pauline, you believe that Rudy was a victim, is what you're saying?
Yes. Totally victimized.
Yes. Can I say something in regards to the...
This woman is so upset. She's breaking my heart. She has been under the assumption, I'm assuming, that he has truly been missing for 8 years. Yes, she's heard the stories that he's been seen. Yes, she's heard all of that. And, you know, people are, you know, they're throwing a lot of shade at the advocate. I've read a lot about him, not going to lie. But if the family is saying we need his help to get justice for Rudy, then it's their family and it's their call. Hello, Dynamite.
Chief of police saying that numerous occasions Rudy and his mom were stopped by the police and they gave fake names. Aren't the police asking for ID, driver's license, something when a person gets pulled over? Aren't they supposed to have something, show something, proof of your name?
So why do you think that they
were they not asking this to know that these people are giving fake names, or were fake IDs or driver license presented?
So why do you think that they were so reluctant to talk about what was discussed, what Quanell told us
I
yesterday?
think the police are hiding something. They know that
Janie comes from a background of HPD.
They know there is proof, and yes, Janie has a lot of contacts with the HPD department, and people up there, higher level people, are hiding the fact that Janie has done things. Her ex-husband, Rudy's father, who also committed suicide, because of his things that he was doing within the police department. So I know there are lots of officers, lots of DAs, judges that do their job. They do what they promise and swear to do. And there are the corrupt ones. And these people are hiding and lying for her. And right now she's getting away.
I asked the chief upstairs if HPD ever went to the house, specifically to his house in the last 8 years. And they cut it off. The gentleman.
Because they didn't go. They've been there one time when she used to live on Lee Road in Humble. They went one time when we reported that Rudy was at that location.
So the HPD did make contact.
Just one time.
At the home.
At the home. On Lee Road, not on the Valley Lake. And then one time
Rudy was there.
HPD's, I can't remember his name, but he called me at my office on my cell phone to tell me if I took a picture of Rudy in that house. And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't seen Rudy since he has been missing. And as of to this day today, I have not seen my nephew.
Do you guys have a message?
He sent me a picture. He says, well, can I send you a picture? I said, send me the picture. I want to see the picture. So he sent me the picture, and I have that picture here.
Can you see it?
Absolutely.
Do you guys have a message for Rudy if he's watching this right now?
Yes, Rudy, if you're watching this. Right, Rudy, if you're watching this, Mito, we love you. Your aunts, your cousins, we stand behind you. And we are right here with you. We love you.
Who do you hold at fault for this? Because obviously you guys have anger and frustration. Do you view it as HPD not doing it? Or do you view it also the DAs?
Failed us.
I'm sorry, what?
HPD failed us.
The DA
That's what they
failed
did.
us yesterday. They had her. She was in handcuffs and she was released because they said they had no proven evidence, no factual evidence.
And I called
You cannot
HPD.
have
Here's the
factual
picture.
evidence if you do not take him to get
And
checked.
that picture's what?
This is the picture that some HPD officers sent me because I requested the picture.
What is this picture? What is this? What's
Rudy
this?
in the kitchen of his mother's house in 2018.
I'm sorry, what?
Rudy, that's a picture of Rudy in his mother's house in 2018. That's
Okay, let's look at that. That is Rudy in his mother's house in 2018. Yet people are attacking them, attacking the advocate, whether you like him or not. The family likes him, so I mean, I can't get into that. They want him around, not me. I didn't know the dude existed until this week. What about Janie Santana, who kept the scam going all this time? And there is Rudy in the kitchen.
I'm sorry, what?
Rudy, that's a picture of Rudy in his mother's house in 2018. That's when Janie was married to Robert Ortega.
Robert Ortega.
Yes.
That's a picture of Rudy in 2018.
My next question is, Rudy, I do want to say Rudy because I'm hoping that he's not getting manipulated away from watching TV. That so-called friend of Janie Santana, where he's at, Nikki Garza. Remember, you will be an accomplice. I've got pictures of cars. I got license plates. I will turn those in, which I've already posted them on Facebook. And I really hope that I do. What I would like for HPD to see is make a report, be on the lookout for those cars, and just run a report. But she's always changing cars. I physically went after the airport, what was that hotel, Holiday Inn? I physically went to her house yesterday to snoop around. There were reporters there. I didn't do nothing illegal. She has been living there. I did find, and Rudy, this is what I want you to find out because I know that you've always carried it very dearly with you. And I did find it because I know you've had it for many, many, many years. That more than likely grandma gave it to you. If you can get away, if they're not forcing you to stay where you're at, and if you can get away, you know where to find us. You can call your Aunt Sylvia, which is your godmother. You can call Abel, my son, which is your cousin, is here.
Are those his rosary beads?
This is his rosary that he would always carry around his neck. Always.
And where did you find that?
I found it right in the front, as probably his mom was rushing him to hurry up and get away from the neighborhood. So right now, Janie Santana has gone back. I have people within the areas on the lookout. They did call me at 12:30, 4:36 in the morning that she was in the neighborhood.
She wasn't in the neighborhood. She went home to load her car up with clothes and stuff to take. And we loaded. She's got 2 guns with her. She's got a car full. And she's gone and tried to convince or bribe Rudy into changing his story. She offered him thousands of dollars. She's offering the neighbors money to keep their mouths quiet and say that they're all lying about it.
Neighbors did come to me yesterday telling me that she did offer each neighbor $150, $250 per day or for whatever, so that they won't say nothing. Okay, they were very honest. And one lady, I won't say her name, but she was on the news. She did come up to me when I was there in front of Janie Santana's house, acknowledging everything that I knew deep in my heart, that he has always been there all this time. But people thought, and I'm going to find out who the first investigator was when I heard about the disappearance, and I knew it wasn't right. Okay. This investigator, I don't know who it was, but private investigator, she got on the phone with me and called me every name in the book that I didn't want to see Janie finding her.
That Janie wasn't holding on him. And
Okay, and that is the argument being made. Hey, Jules of All Trades True Crime, can you come up on panel? Because I'd love to talk to you about this. That is the argument that I'm seeing around. Listen, 17's age of consent. People graduate from high school. They go to college. They work. People move out at 17. He chose to be there. Some people say he went along with the scam. But what we're hearing, because I don't care what sect of society you're from, well, some I think are okay with it. The big I, and you know what word I'm talking about, is illegal for many reasons.
prior to them leaving the hotel yesterday, Janie had threatened him that had he not left with her, she was going to hurt herself and he was going to be without a mother. If he didn't change his story, that both he and she would end up in jail and prison because of what he told Cornell X. With my understanding, there was law enforcement in that same room hearing that conversation. So for the chief of police to say that they didn't hear anything and that it's just Cornell X, no, sir. Get it straight. Tell your people to tell the truth. Speak the truth. I don't care what position you're in, how high you are up there. Speak the truth. This kid is not a kid anymore. He's 25 years old, but he needs
But
help.
HPD says that
He's
at the
been
time,
in there.
HPD's position is that at the time he was 17 years old, which in the state of Texas
A
makes you an adult.
male is considered an adult at the age of 17.
Let me-
It doesn't matter.
Please,
He
can you
was
say your
forced
name so
and
we
he
can
was
Let me-
drugged. He was forced.
Okay, so that lady is saying you're considered an adult at the age of 17. Let's welcome our friend Jules of All Trade. All right, girlfriend, hit me. What do you think about this?
I don't even, this is one of the most disturbing things I've heard in a while. I'm just really confused about why they're trying to act as if this guy is lying about what he was apparently told. Like they made some really conflicting statements in the press conference, honestly, because they sat there and they said, you know, dude is basically lying. We didn't hear any of these things. But then they're stating, well, we don't give any information out about, you know, sexual assault cases. So why would you make that statement, but then try to act as if this wasn't that sort of case? It was
I
really
grabbed that
confusing.
too. I grabbed
Yeah.
that too. So they're like, we don't give information, which they shouldn't.
Right.
Which they shouldn't.
But it's just really confusing because we hear that, you know, after that was said, they put handcuffs on her, but then they ended up letting them leave together. And his age shouldn't matter. If he's stating that these things are happening to him, it's illegal. So I'm just not understanding. I'm just not understanding why this is being handled this way. And I wholeheartedly believe that if the genders were reversed, it wouldn't be.
No, if Rudy was a girl, it wouldn't be going this way.
Mm-mm.
No way. No way in my mind. We see it often with male students that are seduced by a teacher, male teacher, and they're like, way to go, kid.
Yeah,
but when it's a girl with a male teacher, they've got their pitchforks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's gross.
And I don't know what's going on in Houston, but it just seems like one fail after another between Sierra Rod, Astro World. That DA is corrupt AF. The mayor is saying pedophilia is a mental illness.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I had to step away from like all the politics for a while because I got so into all the bullshit because, you know, none of them actually care. It's all about money. And I just had to step away from it. So, honestly, I don't know the views of the governor or any of that, but none of it is shocking. I mean, you see what's happening everywhere. So that's not surprising, but it's still, this case is 8 years old. And they've had like now all these different sightings of him throughout the time is coming out. Some ex-boyfriend of the mom saw him in her kitchen 2 years after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
making a Pop-Tart.
Yeah. And it's just, I don't understand because he's had opportunities apparently to get free from her, because it sounds as if there's been interactions between them and the police since the situation where he's been told to have been a nephew, given, you know, a different name, even himself giving the police a false identity.
And like I said, it's not a popular opinion, but he also gave them, and he would be the victim here if what we're hearing is correct, because we don't know. I'm not an investigator. Mm-hmm. I said, charge Rudy. Charge him for giving them a fake identification. You have a missing persons report for him. Charge him. And then in the course of the investigation, it's happened before, then you get to the bottom of it. But they're just like, no, we're not touching this.
Yeah, at all. For any of it. For any of it whatsoever. And if anything, and they're acting like it's not a big deal, but, you know, she didn't let them know he came home. They continue to believe he was a missing person, but then they also didn't act like it was. Because how do you not if you're pulling them over, or whatever these interactions were with them and the police in the past, because, you know, the budget of there being no dash cams has had to be brought up right now in this press conference. That just had to be brought up. There's a reason. They're trying to tell us, yeah, we're going to tell you that all these things happen, but we have no proof because, you know, we're underfunded. So we can't give you any proof of what we're telling you, is where that came from. But there's just so much of this I'm not understanding, because not only like what we're hearing discrepancy wise about what he apparently said, but then there's like a picture of Rudy like in a grayish brown shirt, and you can see his face, and he has like a wristband on, like a bracelet. but I'm not seeing scars and stuff like the way that the dude was talking about either. So it just made me even more conflicted because I don't know. And then, those hospital photos were fake. And
Yeah, they were from
all the stuff that
2012.
yeah, old as hell. And he had like all these sores and stuff on his feet back then. Like, that's concerning. But then I also wondered, okay, why did he run away in the first place? Like, is what we're hearing a continued behavior that's always been that way, and that's the reason he ran away at 17? I don't. I'm just this whole thing is very, very confusing. Like, this is more confusing than the Idaho case, in my opinion, because we have no one telling the truth here. And then we have a family now that, like, people are like, hurrah, hurrah for these aunties or whoever the hell these people are. But where the hell have they been for the past 8 years?
I think they were clearly lied to by Janie.
But for
I think every time they tried to make contact, they were told. I mean, I think she truly hit him out if what he is saying is true.
I don't know, because now they're all acting like they had been suspicious all this time. But you're just now getting your emotions involved into it, and they blatantly stated they didn't want to get involved in it. That's why they didn't do anything this whole time, because they didn't want to be involved in it. They didn't want to get involved. Like, that came out of their own mouths. So I even have to question their reactions to this, because is it all for the damn cameras now that you have a chance to be in front of one? Because you weren't hoorahing for your mom whenever y'all were complaining about how she was like abusing her, and you'd go to check on her and it would take 20 minutes for her to open the door. Y'all didn't really do anything about that situation. She should have been arrested for elder abuse if all that was true.
Yeah. Or she should have been.
Yeah. So I mean, like, cool for them wanting to step forward and do something now. But then, as far as I understand from the Grizz lady or whoever the news channel is over there that's in Houston, it was like some non-family member named Nicole that ended up taking him to the police department yesterday morning. It wasn't even one of the family people. And then people also made comments like, okay, well, they know all this stuff was going on. Why didn't they put a separation between the two of them whenever they were being allowed to leave that damn hotel?
Why would you let him leave with her anyway after these allegations were made? And let me tell you what, the water's murky.
Yeah.
Was a detective in the room with Q or not? He says he has it recorded because Snazzy had a really good point. If you have a domestic violence victim, they don't let them go home with the abuser.
No, they don't. And the chunkier guy that was in the press conference in the white shirt, he said he was in the room. He said he was the one that was sitting in the room with Q and with Rudy, and that he didn't hear any of those things, that he learns to listen for keywords or some shit like that, and he didn't hear any of it. Okay, so this huge giant of a man is standing in front of cameras crying, recalling the details that he was just told, and y'all are acting literally as if none of it is real. He's literally sitting there calling him like a liar, which I know that, like, what they stated, they can't like give information out. But even if they can't give information out, their freaking actions aren't acting like they heard it either. Like, they can say, hey, we can't give you information, but act accordingly. They're not.
It's got to make sense. It's too confusing. And I see statements from Q that the neighbors back up. Okay,
Yeah.
so like when he said, because we had never heard before that he had ran away and came back home the next day or day after. Well, in the press conference yesterday, they confirmed it. That is true. So he obviously told him that.
Yeah.
And then he said about giving him the hallucinogens. Okay. Several neighbors have said when he was wandering around, he was out of his mind. He talked about a different identity. They did not know his name was Rudy. They called him Dolph.
So they said that he would speak like he was somebody else?
Yeah, his name was Dolph, not Rudy.
No, I know. But he was being introduced that way to people at this point as Dolph. But whenever they're stating that he's walking around the neighborhood like out of it on whatever she was giving him, is he still acting like he's Dolph, or are they saying that he was like talking as if he was a whole nother person?
Just basically inebriated is what I gathered.
So just out of his mind. And see, that's another thing that I was wondering, because like you can be erased and reprogrammed. And certain drugs that you take, especially if given, like, I mean, we see it with celebrities. I mean, it's part of the Britney Spears conspiracy about why she's out of her damn mind, is because of all the things they had her on for decades, right? And this is the same kind of situation. You can be reprogrammed. You can be erased and reprogrammed depending on the damage that these drugs and stuff are doing to you. And if you're given hallucinogenics and things that like make your mind go into different dimensions and shit, then it has long lasting effects, especially if it started as a minor, especially in a male, because their brains develop slower. So there's a great possibility that, you know, if everything that we're hearing is true and she was really giving him all these things and locking him away and take, you know, basically like sensory deprivation situations where you're locked away and, you know, not given any access to the outside world that you already know of, it's going to have dramatic mental health effects. So it's actually interesting that he can like suddenly remember that he's like Rudy and it's not a big deal. And he's okay with like talking, but for all these 8 years, we're supposed to believe that he was drugged and basically like reprogrammed as a whole different person to be a whole different person, but he snapped out of it that quick. It's just weird. All of it is just really strange.
And I have another question. And we just love having these conversations around here because, again, we're not investigators. We're not going to solve it from behind the keyboard, if you know what I mean.
No, not without everything.
Oh, yeah. I love when people have all the answers. It's like, look, you can't get a warrant. Come on.
You can't. And like all you can really do is guesstimate on what we're being given. And I mean, some people can guess it. And in the end with court, you know, they're pretty spot on. But then some people are way the hell off because they're just insane.
So do you think, I'm asking you and everybody in here, was Dolph, was he part of the plan? Was he complicit in it? Is this Munchausen's or Stockholm syndrome?
That's what I'm so confused about. Because I feel like if he was like really drugged and tortured the way that we're being, you know, led to believe anyway, I don't feel like he could just snap out of it and recall all of these extreme details so vividly and go back to just being Rudy and knowing every little thing about who he is after living like a whole different identity for almost a decade. It's just strange. I mean, unless he just played it that well, but like I said, he's had opportunities to get away. Like and I mean, at 17, I don't know his mental capacity. Like we haven't heard him speak or anything. So I can't determine if he would be gullible enough to believe what she's apparently said to him about, you know, you ran away. Now there's a warrant for your arrest. That's the most insane bullshit I've ever heard in my life. And most children know that that's not true. I know my kids do, and they're younger than he was when all this happened. So it's just strange. Like, was he not in like public school at 17?
Yeah, he hadn't been going to school for a couple of months. And from everything that I'm reading, and you know, I believe everything I read on the internet, he didn't have any struggles in school. This whole thing about him being nonverbal and everything is crazy.
Yeah,
it's just so reminiscent of Gypsy Rose. She knew she wasn't sick, but she went along with it.
Yeah.
I mean, she became brainwashed. You have these kids that will lay in bed for months at a time and they know that they're not sick.
Right.
But, you know, their parents keep telling them, you're sick. Because what he said, and that we haven't heard from him, but this is through the advocate, that after he ran away and came home, she said, several agencies are looking for you. So you're going to be in big trouble. I have to hide you out. Now, if he's that basic and that simple, he would believe her because, well, she holds all the purse strings.
Right. But he wasn't in like any 504 classes or anything like that. He was like in normal classes, no problems.
According to a woman whose brother went to school with him, no, nothing like that.
So what is the reasoning for him to have not been in school for a few months?
Oh,
Was he?
I just don't think old Janie runs a tight ship, if you know what I mean.
Well, that, or I mean, that's what I'm curious about, the whole running away situation in the first place. Because I mean, if we're hearing this stuff now and it happens to be true, could it have been happening then too? And that's why he ran away, but then he realized he didn't really have anywhere else to go and just turned back and went home because he didn't have a choice. And maybe at that point she'd already been brainwashing him to an extent. But wasn't his father still alive? No, he wasn't alive whenever he went missing. He died like 2 years before that, right?
Yeah, and there was a lot of trauma in the family all at once. You know, the brother died from a motorcycle accident. The father died from a GS self-inflicted wound. Then had an uncle that had a motorcycle accident. They don't have good luck on motorcycles.
I noticed that.
I mean, a lot of stuff was going on. The next thing you know, the bank is getting emailed from Rudy, which I'm assuming has to do with the life insurance money. And that turns out to be Janie behind it.
Well, and that's what I had a question about. That can't be this Rudy that they're talking about, because this Rudy is like 5th, right? Or 4th? Like, doesn't he have like the Roman numerals or whatever? So is this the dad Rudy that messaged the bank? Because Home Skillet would have been a minor.
Yeah. But it turns out that the life insurance from the brother was left to
this Rudy?
Yeah.
But it still doesn't make sense that she would like fake sending an email from a minor, because regardless, he's a minor and she's guardian. She would be in control of it or have like to get the documentation from it until he turned 18.
And it was a pretty good chunk. I don't know the exact amount, dollars and cents, but it was basically double because it was an accident.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, she wants to keep control of him. They're going to have to follow the money on this one.
Yeah, but that's even more confusing. I'm going to have to look into the laws for that. But it also would depend on how it was set up, because, I mean, there could have been a way for her to have access to it prior to him being 18. But turning 18 and him still technically being a reportedly missing person, could she, like, spend it?
Snazzy said in 2018, when the life insurance was in question, Rudy was over 18.
But he was missing still.
But he was in her house.
Right, but he was legally missing. Legally. So any of that money getting spent is being spent by somebody who's technically in the system as a missing person and no one's following it?
That's what I'm saying. They would have to follow the money on this one.
Yeah, because I mean,
we have the GoFundMe scam, because I mean, he was at home.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm not understanding, why, if he was technically a legally missing person, but then again, this would be the mother having to like do her job, but then we know the truth about that whole situation and him coming back. But technically, like, that account should have been put on hold if he's missing, or it should have had some sort of like red alert on it to where, hey, we have a missing person that has this bank account. We need an alert system on it, so the second there's any movement, we know.
Well, and what's really weird is when kids come into money at the legal age of 18, sometimes the parents insist on being on the account with them to monitor their spending, so they're not out buying, expensive cars and motorcycles and clothes they don't need.
Right.
And so that could be it too, but I don't know. They're going to have to really get into this.
Yeah. It's just, all of it is just making no sense to me.
Because I know my husband got a big settlement when he was 18. He had a bad accident, and his mother was on the account. So when he became 18, his mother could freely spend that money.
Oh, that's probably what it was then. They probably, okay. Yeah, that makes more sense. Then they wouldn't have any reason to track it then, because there's a non-missing adult on the account. Yeah.
And I'm not sure that the bank is ever told that this person's missing if nobody calls the bank and says, hey, this person's missing and their money's being spent.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean by the police must have not taken this case very seriously to not like know all of those things, to be monitoring those things. Because they should have been getting alerts that money was being spent and he was still missing. That's why I just don't understand why it seems like they literally did nothing. Like, not then, not now, not in between. Like, how do you just do nothing that many damn times in one situation? I'm just dumbfounded, I think is the word.
I'm dumbfounded too, because you come across him all these times.
Mm-hmm.
He gives you the names like Dolph, Julio, and all that stuff. But could they not just take a picture and go and compare it when people are saying this is him?
Well, I mean, and not just that, like, if they're running her freaking information, is it not going to pull up that she's associated with the missing persons report as the mom for them to like see this and then question who this person is with her then? And how is he 5 years old getting pulled over by the police for whatever reason that they're having to deal with them, and he's not having to show identification? Like, that's physical?
Because like I said in the beginning of the show, if I get pulled over and I'm like, oh, I left my wallet at home, I'm going to get in trouble for not having my ID on me.
Yeah, you do. You get a fine for that.
Yeah. They're going to be like, well, then you got to show up to court with it, and you're going to pay us, you're going to pay us $1.25 there, sister.
Yeah. And like, some people are like, well, they're getting away with it so much because, what's his face was a cop. Okay, but he was apparently a crap cop who did stupid things and apparently took his life out of shame. So I don't see how somebody that has that kind of reputation would be being like protected by the police department. Like, that's kind of weird. So
See, that doesn't make sense to me either, because the police union, they were all after these dudes. Now, of course, one checked out early. The other guys were forced to basically resign. They didn't get jail time or anything like that. They just moved on to other jobs.
See, that's why it's weird to me. Because, like, from what I was reading, what he did, I mean, it was crap. You shouldn't be deceptive or fraudulent in any shape, way, form, whatever, as a police officer, especially. But he didn't do anything that, to me, in my mind, like, justifies the end means that he chose. So I'm really just
I will say
curious.
This within police departments, when you're not, when they have it out for you, they're going to find anything.
Yeah, so that's why I'm wondering if there was something else that he...
Police departments are very, very political. I can tell you a personal story someday. I'm not going to do it right now. But they are very political, and they'll find anything. It can be abuse of overtime. It can be anything, and they can call it a crime.
Yeah.
But now we have a DA saying false report, not a crime.
Right.
False
and that's 8 years of false reporting, 8 years of false identification. I don't understand. I don't get it. Like, if anything, I don't understand why they didn't hold her just for that. And then, because, we see all of they're trying to explain to us, all these instances apparently where they've interacted with these people. Okay, well, that's tax dollars. Y'all should have to tell us why y'all failed, because our taxes paid for you to fail this many times. How many resources did you waste because you didn't do your job in the first place? You never went back to check. And what the hell do you mean you had no reason to check the residence? I have never, ever heard of a missing person situation with a minor where the house isn't looked at. Like, I pretty much everyone that we talk about, we know the cops went into the house at some point. And they're basically saying, yeah, I reported missing minor, but we never bothered to even walk into her house.
Well, see, and that's the thing, because they're like, oh, well, at 17, he's an adult. Well, no, legally, he's a minor. So when she reported him missing, why weren't they circling the wagons, checking the house? Why weren't they out searching?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Is it because he's Hispanic? I don't know. They search for other Hispanic people in Texas. Lots of them.
I don't know. It just doesn't make sense unless it was because of who his father was. They didn't take it seriously, and they failed him out of spite. And
a 17-year-old is missing, and a mother files a police report. They're going to go find them. They're going to assume they ran away. They're going to assume they ran away. They're not going to assume that some kidnapper grabbed a big old 17-year-old kid.
Yeah, and that's another thing. there was that post in the beginning that was saying how like some little girl in some store pointed at a flyer saying, "Oh, that's the kid that saved me from some park." Wasn't it one of her fake profiles that posted that? Like her pretending to be some aunt or some shit?
Yep.
So she
Bella.
even like, so even after home dude comes home, he's home for who knows how long. Jeez.
Yeah, she said this little girl said she was being assaulted in a field, but she could see Rudy's dogs. And Rudy went and saved her from sex traffickers. And the little girl said the sex traffickers took him. From there, Janie said they bagged his head and took him to Mexico. And he followed the moon back to Houston.
Yeah, that's, yeah, she's wild. She's wild. Mm-mm. And what I don't understand is how she thinks that she can get away with lying like more, because he had her card with him, a card that she just like, I don't remember if they said she just opened it 2.5 years ago or it was like canceled 2.5 years ago, but whatever it was opened after he went missing. So if she knows that we know that, then how the hell are you still going to sit here and try to say he followed the moon home from Mexico? Then how'd he get your credit card? Dummy.
Yeah. Did you send it down to Mexico to the cartel and sex traffickers?
Yeah, just so stupid. And then we're hearing she apparently like was given false sightings to her family members so they would like go places with her.
Yeah, one of them took her to Disneyland out in California. She said there was a sighting of Rudy. Now, if I was a sister, I'd say, well, we got to get a hold of the
Orlando Police Department.
We got to get a hold of the police department out in California. But oh no, they got on I-10 and they went out there. Next thing you know, she's got Mickey Mouse ears on and shit.
And see, that's the stupidest shit, because you know how many hours it takes to drive from Houston? We did it. We drove from Texas to Disney for my daughter's Make-A-Wish trip. And it was crap. It was a long drive. It was horrible. You cannot expect to get a sighting of your kid and then drive there thinking he's still going to be there 2 days later, almost a day later. You call the cops, and then those cops call the Disney cops, and then they all meet up together and they search around. You don't drive down there with nobody being notified. None of the family members thought that that was weird, that no cops were being involved in any of these sightings.
She said the article I read, she said if they call the cops, Rudy will run away. He'll only talk to her. But next thing you know, she's on Space Mountain and shit.
Yeah.
She's getting pictures with Tigger.
I don't understand. And the family, that's why I'm confused about the family's like bullcrap now, because y'all can't all be this stupid. Y'all can't all be this freaking stupid. You're taking her to Disney, and instead of y'all like searching in a freaking frenzy panic, you're stopping and getting on rides and stuffing your faces with food. And no one thought that that's weird.
And on the way, Janie got the fast pass because she didn't want to wait in line. Did she honestly think she was going to see Rudy on the roller coaster?
I just don't understand. That's why this family, I don't know, man. I don't know anymore. What I want to know is if there's freaking footage, and there ain't no damn way in hell there's not, of traffic cams showing him getting to that church.
That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. And I want to know where the things that Tim Miller found out in that field came from.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
when they're a backpack.
Yeah, he found a backpack and some other things. It had to have been planted by Rudy himself or Janie.
Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe after the dad did what he did, they were just broke, and so they just came up with a bunch of elaborate schemes. I mean, I don't know at this point. It's really strange. This is another thing that I'm not understanding. For one, they're meeting at a hotel in Humble. Humble is north of Houston. If he was found inside Houston city limits, if he lives inside of Houston city limits, I don't understand why they went to Humble. That's weird, for one. For two, am I mistaken that psycho mom called Q over there
She
to be an
did.
advocate. Okay.
Because she said she doesn't trust the police after what went on. Now, this is just, what they reported on
Right.
Houston 2. And so she got a hold of him. Now, how she knows him, how she
That's the
got a hold
question I
of
have.
him,
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know. And he jumped right on it because she said maybe he'll talk to you. Has Rudy ever met him? I don't know. And so he comes out and he tells everybody, and a lot of it was backed up by the neighbors. Now, the showering and the kissing on the mouth was not, but the other stuff was. I mean, like him going to work with her every night, him being a little, he was always kind of blitzed, if you know what I mean,
Yeah.
using a different name. There was a lot of stuff that's definitely backed up. I don't know that they can charge her with the big I because, she opened the shower curtain or kissed him on the mouth or said, come sleep by me. I don't know how that works. To me, it's all friggin' creepy.
Yeah. But that's why I'm wondering if there, that's why I just don't know. I just don't know. Because whenever Q was like, she told him he had to be the husband now. He had to play daddy. Okay, well, that would have been like a 2-year gap between the dad and him running away. That's why I'm curious as to if that situation happened and that's why he wasn't in school for a few months, because she was like already doing that to him then, if this story is true.
Court case said Texas EquiSearch should sue Janie. And that's the thing, because Janie herself got a hold of Tim Miller. Knowing that Rudy was home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm sure that they spent lots of monetary resources on that situation.
Elizabeth said she got a hold of Grizzy, and Grizzy reached out to Q for them. And the family is loving it. Janie's not loving it, but the family's loving it.
Well,
So
and see,
like I said,
that's another thing too. Apparently, Janie's even pretended to be Grizz before. Like, this woman has literally pretended to be like anything and everything she possibly can.
Now hold on, what? She was pretending to be her as well?
Yeah, I was listening to something yesterday, and she said that she found out that there was like a fake posting that was made pretending to be Grizz that her subscribers or viewers had noticed and told her about, like, recently, that had happened farther back in the past, because she's apparently been covering this case. Was one of the first ones that her group like reported on whenever they started, was Rudy's case. And so she's kind of always been like researching it and like paying attention to it. And so, yeah, apparently like a while back, there was a fake posting made by Janie pretending to be Grizz that her people realized was fake. Yeah, so this woman is literally just like, she's pretending to be like a million people. Just that right there is a huge mental illness. That's just the things that we have proof of with how she's catfished and all these fake profiles and having conversations with her own damn self in these things. She's got mental issues. She needs a padded room. That's why, like, not believing this stuff that we're hearing is kind of difficult, because I can already see like how it could be possible. She's absolutely off a rocker.
Well, I like how the lady direct messaged Bella, one of her profiles.
Mm-hmm.
And Bella is supposed to be the aunt. This aunt does not exist, by the way.
Yep.
And so instead of saying nephew, she said son. And the woman said, hold on, I thought you were his aunt. She goes, stupid ass.
Yeah, she can't even keep her lies right. She's got so much, and there's no telling how many other profiles she has for other purposes. I mean, if she's tried to scam the entire world at this point by, lying about her son actually being missing for real, then there's no telling what other fake profiles and stuff she's scamming people out of money for.
Well, she forgets what profile she's on. Like this one right here is Bella. Their popularity to gain followers. She's talking about people that, are talking about the case to gain followers. We hear it all the time. As far as the GoFundMe, there is no GoFundMe, nor is there talk of one. So stop the rumors. We Well, who's we? You got a mouse in your pocket? Had a fundraiser for my son in 2015. Again, she says son, but Bella's supposed to be the aunt.
And so, okay, so when did we finally realize that Bella was a fake account? Did one of the family members call it out and say, hey, bro, this woman doesn't exist? We don't have a sister named Bella?
They called it out and said, we don't have a sister named Bella, but the ex-boyfriend that saw Rudy in the kitchen making the Pop-Tarts, he went back, I believe, to his ex. And Crazy Janie got a hold of her and said she's been planning a lavish wedding for them. I think old boy didn't know about it. And brought up the whole Bella situation. And this lady figured out really quick that Bella was her because Bella only talks about her and to her.
Jesus. Wow. And see, what would be interesting is seeing her internet footprint prior to him going missing. Because I'm just curious as to how long she's been doing this.
Oh, I have a feeling. I think it started around 2011 from what I tracked back. You know, because she wanted to take old boy that saw Rudy making the Pop-Tarts. She wanted to go to Disneyland with him, and she wanted to have a Cinderella wedding and him put a glass slipper on her foot.
Oh, well, she's a damn psycho.
Jules.
Like, geez. I just don't understand humans. Yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand. But okay, so we're supposed to believe that, like, for this entire time that she was with this guy, were they living together?
Oh, I think that he was just making some booty calls to Sexy Janie.
I mean, yeah, if they weren't living together, I could see how he wouldn't know that he was living there. But if they were living together and then he just got like scared one day because some homeboy's in the kitchen, that's weird. So I don't know.
Yeah, and she was like, "Oh, don't worry about him. Don't worry about him. Get back into bed with me." She also said Rudy had cancer.
Yeah. That's why I'm really curious about if any of it is true, if it had really been going on, and that's the reason why he disappeared from school for a few months before he went missing. And maybe the reason why, like, honestly, it's even kind of like confusing that she'd even report him missing if there was stuff going on, because then that's already involving the police.
I have a feeling if they actually do the detective work, they're going to find out that she told him to run away, and that this was part of the plan, and she was going to report him missing. And I think she got scared or something because there was no search for Rudy.
Right, like at all.
And even in Houston, if a child is missing, they're going to be searching.
Like it almost like it what's that lady, what was it, Gone Girl, that where she like fakes her kidnapping and all this crazy stuff. I know it's based on like a true story, but I can't remember that girl's name.
I don't remember her real name. Yeah, the movie's great with Ben Affleck and Rose DeWitt or something like that. It's a great
something
movie.
like that. Yeah, but it just I don't know. I'm so confused. I'm so conflicted.
You know,
because I don't know.
And Janie was never searching for him. And when we see parents not searching for their missing child, we already know something's up.
Well, and that's a red flag that Cinema Shogun called out. And I was like, damn, he's right. Like, you're not showing your face in any of these interviews about your missing 17-year-old son. My face would be everywhere. You could not shut me up.
Mm-hmm. But when they can't, they can't. I mean, if they're guilty, like, you know, we have that with Candace Wells. Now, Dawn won't stop talking, but Candace, she won't say a word.
Yeah, she's been pretty quiet. I don't know. I mean, obviously there was something up for her not to want to show her face and like advocate for her son coming back. But I also am wondering the timing of those interviews, because if he was already home, that would be a reason for her to hide her face. But if it was prior to him being back, then it's definitely more like gives clue to premeditation of bullshit.
Well, I mean, I showed an interview of hers from 2015, I believe, earlier in the show. It looks like she's in the witness protection program. It looks like she's a cast member from the movie Goodfellas. I mean, they have her all shadowed out.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even her voice. And I'm like, wouldn't you want your son to see you? If you remember the Cleveland kidnappings, the girls would see their parents on TV looking for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Jeez, this is so and it's hard to like really question stuff like this, because just like in the Idaho case, having questions about the roommates, you get like ridiculed. So if you have questions about what's going on with Rudy, like people are like, oh, we're not going to victim shame. Okay, but we have to like figure this out because something's wrong. And
No, you're in the right living room, because we're
Yeah.
sitting here going, is he part of it? Did he? I mean, what is going on here? I mean, I'm not an investigator. I'm not. But come on, it's like, I caught hell when I was covering the Henrietta, Oklahoma case, when I said, no, Holly was part of this. And people were like, how could you victim shame? Or when I bring up in the Idaho 4 case, something sketch with Dylan and Bethany. They're like, they're survivors. I'm like, so explain to me why, if he is a maniacal killer.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't understand why somebody would leave people alive that if he was some crazy stalker, he knew damn well were there and exactly where their bedrooms were. Like he knew. The only surprise to Brian, if it was him, would have been Ethan. Because if he was stalking them, he would have known Kaylee was back. Ethan spending the night was probably kind of normal, so maybe it wasn't too much of a surprise. But I feel like if he was stalking them and was over there all those times to know all these things, to know exactly when to do things and leave no traces except for the one little thing, he would know. He would have known. And why would you leave people that can testify to anything that they heard? It just, none of that makes sense either. But this is
crazy.
This
And
is
like
super
Slim
crazy.
said, he better start talking, meaning Rudy,
Mhm.
aka Dolph, aka Rude Man, aka Julio. He better start talking before he becomes a conspirator in his mom's scams and frauds.
Yeah, because
That
he's
might
had a
be
lot
the
of
reason
opportunities.
they're not pursuing it. They might not be pursuing it because they think he's involved, and they think, look, he's been through enough. So I don't know. They said it's an open investigation.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but I just don't understand. I feel like he's had like ample opportunities to say, hey, I'm Rudy so-and-so. If you look my name up, you'll see I've been reported missing for X amount of time. Please call the police.
Well, look at Amanda Berry. She found her moment of opportunity to get away. And the man across the street was eating his McDonald's, and he helped her kick the door in, and he got her out. They called the police. She called 911. Hi, my name is Amanda Berry. I've been missing for 10 years. There's other people in there. And they went and they started busting doors down. So if he was held captive, that's why people go to Stockholm Syndrome saying, no, he didn't want to leave.
Yeah. Because it seems like he didn't, because he had opportunities to. Like, we even hear that like he would run errands for her. Well, that to me tells me that he was out and about alone, like with her permission. So if you had opportunities not only with a vehicle to go run an errand while she's away from you in the house, and you're in public at a grocery store or whatever freaking errand he's running, you've had opportunities.
Kim said if he was drugged up so much, maybe his head was never clear enough.
But if he's running errands, he's driving. I mean, you've got to be coherent to not be pulled over and taken in for being intoxicated or under some sort of influence of something if you're that non-clear-headed.
Well, I mean, and obviously he doesn't have a driver's license, so she was just like, take the keys
Yeah.
and go run my errands for me. Here's my credit card.
Yeah, because he wouldn't have any identification whatsoever. It would be impossible for him to have any sort of ID. He went missing legally as a minor. The second they went to go get an ID, had been flagged and the cops would show up.
Well, I mean, you think about the Turpin kids, and there's more of them than the two parents. And I mean, they're chained up, starved, living in horrible conditions. And they, I mean, almost to the age of 30 years old. And they just dealt with it until Jordan got out and got a hold of a police officer.
Yeah, I watched an interview a couple weeks ago of them. I think the two oldest sisters, they did an interview together. It's a really sad story. It's really, that's another one of those, I just don't understand humans.
No, well, those people are sick.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Jules, I appreciate you coming back. I know you have to get back to work, but you had a few minutes to come up and talk to me.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to take up so much of your time, but you know,
you're fine.
Anytime.
I look for excuses to not look at my other screens. You're fine. And this case has been driving me insane. I planned on talking about it at some point this weekend, just not really pulling up news articles or whatever, but just like talking out of my head about what I'm thinking about this case. Cause I mean, I watched it the second that they were like, oh, 8 years he was found. I was like, holy crap, this is awesome. And then the information started coming out, and I've been kind of paying more attention to it than the Idaho case here over the past couple of days, just because I'm like, what is happening? So no, I'm glad that you wanted to talk about it, because geez. But yeah.
I mean, Snazzy told me about it, and I think part of the problem, if you guys have a few more minutes, Walking Dead said don't go. I'm not going anywhere. But if part of the problem with this could be this, I've been looking into a lot of stuff going on in Houston.
Robberies in high-end shopping spots. We are taking a look at violent crime and which neighborhoods are seeing the biggest increase.
KHU11 Investigates is crunching the numbers and found surprising results. Here's Grace White.
Take a drive around Houston, from neighborhood to neighborhood, and you can't always tell where violent crime is on the rise. You have to look here. KHU11 Investigates crunch the numbers to find out where violence is intensifying, looking at Houston zip codes with at least 50 violent crimes. Here's the three that increased the most since 2019. Number 3, 77075, just south of Hobby Airport. Violent crime up there, 58%. In that area, there are a lot of apartment complexes, and we found a number of murders, robberies, and assaults in this zip code happening there.
We have an apartment enforcement unit, so it's not just the criminal aspect of it, but it's quality of life issues.
Belinda Knoll is an assistant chief for Houston Police. She's over the Criminal Investigation Command and says they're also looking at their own data, moving assets based on increasing crime.
Different areas within the city have specific issues, population density, prevalence for gang crime. The commanders of those areas are always looking at what issues they may be having, what resources they need.
Number 2, 77019. It stretches from River Oaks to near downtown, along Buffalo Bayou Park. Violent crime in this zip code up 65%.
Long Island Parkway, a lot of people park their vehicles to go run. You know, criminals are going to go where they know they can basically get the biggest bang for their buck.
And the number 1 zip code, 77027, including River Oaks District and Highland Village. It's up 109% since 2019.
You're almost afraid to go into the shopping centers again.
Shopping centers that have become targets for thieves, going after high-end watches, purses, and cars.
I mean, they know what they're doing.
The spot with the most activity, the CVS on Westheimer and 610. The same shopping center where New Orleans police detective Everett Briscoe and his friend DJ Ricolfi were murdered. HPD arrested 2 men for those murders.
They tend to follow them home.
Then weeks later, in a press conference, announced 24 arrests. Suspects accused of running a crime ring in the Galleria area.
Are you convinced that you shut down that ring?
I know we made a lot of good arrests in that.
What's your message to Houstonians who look at the headlines and think, we live in a violent city?
I would say there are still really good people in the city, and just to recognize that they are part of the equation. And the Houston Police Department can't do everything by ourselves. We need our citizens. We need our communities to be involved.
When we looked at the numbers, there was a downward trend. Violent crime across the city is down 5% from last year, but it's still higher than it was pre-pandemic. Grace White, KHOU 11 News.
So that's part of the problem. Houston has been busting at the seams for years. I forgot to tell Jules before she came on, the word of the day is penal.
Like penal code or penal gland?
However you want to use it in a sentence. We were watching a guy that was basically defending the DA, and well, the head sitting on the top of his neck looked exactly like a penal something.
Oh.
And he kept saying penal, and I couldn't get it out of my mind.
That's hilarious.
I even told old DT driver I better get some penal this weekend.
That's hilarious.
Now, what do you think about, because I'm not done with the show yet. I didn't want Jules to think that she had to like reschedule anything or anything like this, but this is a big treat. What do you think about what Rudy said to Q?
Like the specific details?
Yes.
Well, that's what I'm conflicted about, because in the statement Hugh made, he said that he noticed like scars and stuff on his body. But then the picture I saw, which you could definitely tell would have been like just taken, because he looks much older. He does look much older, and it looks like he's sitting in the back of that black SUV that he got into whenever they left the hotel. And his skin doesn't look like there's any markings on it at all. And he was talking about how there was like marks on his arms and his wrists from like where she had like tied him up at some point. But I'm not seeing injuries. I'm not seeing any injuries, so it's confusing. But I also don't understand why they would hear that.
I'm not seeing current pictures of him. I'm seeing him wrapped in a blanket coming out with Q, his face, in the van.
Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it, because I saw it yesterday and I saw it again this morning.
I mean, some of the pictures I've seen are from 2012.
Right, but this one you can tell it's more recent, because he looks 25. Let's see if I can find it.
And I still think about the video that Tim Miller believes is Rudy.
Oh, the guy with the beard in the restaurant or whatever?
Yeah, he believes that could have been Rudy.
Oh, does he really? He doesn't. Well, I mean, it's possible. It's possible. I mean, the guy was sitting down in the video, so yeah, maybe. That guy looked like he was, I don't know. Maybe with facial hair he would, but the picture that I saw, he was clean shaven. I'm trying to find it. But I don't know. How old was that video? Do you remember?
That I don't know. Hang on, I'll put the picture up right now because Snazzy sent it to me.
Okay. Yeah, there's a picture that is posted on Twitter. It shows like just the back of his head on this one, but there's another one. And it's from an interview that he apparently did, I think yesterday. From one of Grizz's updates.
Okay, so I mean, there he is right there.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one I'm talking about. No, that's recent. You can see.
So, but I can't see like the insides of his arms.
I'm talking about his wrists. Like if this was recent, I mean, the way that Q was talking about him having like basically like lacerations from being like bound, and his wrist looked clean. So that's why it's confusing. And I wouldn't see him having a head covering like prior to this current situation, because now he's being kind of hidden. And he's wearing the blanket like he was trying to cover his face. So I feel like this is recent, over the past week since they found him. And there's no lacerations or anything like Q was talking about. And see, the white blanket's over on his lap. So this would have been from them walking out of the hotel.
And the hotel makes no sense to me.
Yeah, why the hell are you not being why are you not in a police department in an interrogation room being interviewed correctly? Why the hell are you in a hotel?
Yeah, what are you doing hanging around in Humble, Texas at the Holiday Inn, getting free omelets in the morning, swimming in the pool?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Sitting in the hot tub, you weirdos. I mean, she packed bathing suits and everything.
Mm-hmm. I don't understand. Like, literally nothing at all is making sense with what they're doing. And I know that the Grizz girl reported about how they had handcuffed her at first because that's what Q told her. And I don't apparently, and I don't know this because I've never heard this guy before. Apparently he's not been truthful in other cases that he's talked about. So I know people are apparently questioning if he's being honest with what he's said. But I don't know about the previous situation. I have no idea how far he went with it or anything. Apparently he made a statement and then disappeared and never said anything else again.
Well, no, this is just a screenshot. Quinell X owes $345,000 to individuals and families.
Wow.
Quinell sued by family, alleging he passed himself off as a lawyer. Activist group demands $40,000 refund from Q. Quinell X accused of taking money, then disappearing in a lawsuit.
So there's multiple instances.
And that's just one screen grab. So I don't know.
Yeah, see, I never even bothered to look it up, honestly.
I mean, I don't know. And I just
but it makes you question why she would have called him.
Well, I mean, she doesn't appear to me to be someone in the Black Panther Party.
Yeah.
He's in the Black Panther Party. And well, let's face it. This is one of her profiles. She's trying to pass herself off, almost as white as me.
Yeah, this is all very confusing. I don't know.
Kim said, oh my God, even he's shady. He's had a lot of problems in Houston, not going to lie.
Yeah.
Not going to lie. But yeah, he is part of the new Black Panther Party in Houston. What I'm more concerned about, what he does is what he does. The family wants him involved. I can do the best I can. I've got different departments in my brain, if you know what I mean. I have a lot of filing cabinets. I can separate that if what Rudy told him was true.
Yeah. But then he said he didn't want her to go to jail. Which is, I mean, could be part of the whole Munchausen's thing.
Well, Gypsy Rose was worried about her mother going to jail. But then, of course, we know what happened.
And that's something that one of the neighbors was talking about when she heard that he was able to leave with her. One of the things that she thought was that it was going to end up being a murder-suicide situation or something, or he was going to end up dead. And the mom would say, oh, well, because he was depressed, blah, blah, blah. But it would really been her. That was really a concern for one of the neighbors when she heard that they were able to leave together. But I don't know who is this Nicole lady that took him to the police department.
Nicole Garza?
I guess, yeah.
Is that the one?
Yeah, because that's what Grizz had said, because then the police conference, they lied, for one, because they said that he was with the mom. But then as soon as the press conference was over, Grizz said that wasn't true, that earlier that morning, a lady named Nicole had actually taken Rudy to the police department and that she was taking care of him. So I don't know why they didn't just tell the public right then and there. Whenever they said Rudy's safe, he's not with the mom. Why didn't they just say that? If he was really at the police department that morning, they'd have all freaking known that he was in their own police department hours prior to this press conference.
Yeah,
Why
and
they lie?
you're not going to interrogate a victim. I understand going to a hotel to see a victim. Why didn't they go to the hospital and talk to him?
And see, that's another thing I wasn't comprehending, because I heard the news lady state the investigators hadn't talked to him yet because of the holiday. And I was like, excuse me? What do you mean because of the holiday? 911 doesn't take breaks. I don't comprehend.
Well, today at 5 o'clock Central Time, you're in Central Time too. How far are you from Houston?
4 hours.
Okay. Don't give your address or anything. I didn't know if you lived right there, but Quanell and the Black Panthers are going to be doing a press conference.
Today at 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna listen to it because
I'm going to be streaming it here.
Okay, then I'll be here to watch it. Yeah, I own property pretty close to Houston in a small town, but I live 4 hours away from Houston.
I live about 9 hours from Houston. I live outside of T-Town, Tulsa.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at this with Quanell. And yes, he has had some shady stuff going on in Houston. You know, I don't get into people's politics, and if the family wants him involved, they can.
Hey, give me 1 second. I got to go wake up my lazy teenager and get the trash cans out because the trash man's down the street and he's not up yet.
Okay.
Give me a second.
That his mother had held him captive for 8 years, drugged him, and used him as a sex slave. Never heard anything like it, if it's true. Police are saying now, well, he was only missing for 1 day, and that Farias and his mother, Janie, had deceived cops for years. Oh, really? Why did it take you so long to figure that out? Let me show you the timeline here, all right? This is our new beautiful studio. I can do this kind of stuff. I can walk around and do different things that make it easier for you to consume information. March 6, 2015, they...
Douche canoe. Penal Chris Cuomo. No one cares about your new studio. Talk about Rudy. Look at that.
All right? This is our new beautiful studio. I can do this kind of stuff. I can walk around and do different things that make it easier for you to consume information. March 6, 2015, they say he's missing. March 7th, 2015, the mom reports Rudy missing. September 2018, relative calls 911 to say Rudy is not missing. That's 2018, okay? We're in 2023 now. The cops investigate, don't find Rudy. Really? Even though there become increasing and regular reports that Rudy is around the neighborhood. June 29th, 2023, he's finally found outside his Houston church. July 5th, Rudy and the mother admit he hasn't been missing. Now, all right, so it's just about the mom and maybe the kid and they did this, it's on them. No. Here's why. Here's why it's worse than that. It's more than that, okay? The mother was given all kinds of information that should have been red flags like they were for this person you're going to meet tonight who was a private investigator on the story. Rudy is 18 years old. The mother said he's 17, got his date wrong, got his birthday wrong. Rudy was reported seen in the neighborhood again and again. The mother...
Okay, and we've heard this before. Got the birth date wrong. Got his age wrong. No, your child is missing. You know the facts. You know what they look like. You know how tall they are, just about. You know their birthday. You know how old they are. I'm so tired of these penals.
Mother told people it was her nephew. The cops took her at her word. They don't even check. Cops stopped Rudy and his mother numerous times, but accepted the fake names that they gave. Are you serious? This is in Houston. You know, it's not like in some one-light town in the middle of the country somewhere, right? Some backwater. This is a real metropolis, okay? A backpack was found. The mother says, oh, yeah, it's Rudy's. It winds up not being Rudy's and belonging to an obviously much younger boy. All of this just kind of went away. All right, I want to bring in somebody who really made a difference in this kid's life in terms of getting the truth back out here. Human rights activist, Quanell X. Hey, Quanell, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for your role in the situation.
Thank you for having me, sir.
So, what do you believe the truth is about Rudy's situation?
Initially, when the mother first reached out to me, she said that she felt investigators were intimidating her.
Okay. So right there, he says, when the mother reached out to me. Now, some people say that she reached out through Grizz, but he says she reached out to him. I don't know how she got a hold of him, but that's what he's saying. So why would she want him involved? She says the investigators are intimidating them.
Okay, I'm back. Yeah, that was a question I had too. Like, how do they actually get a hold of this guy?
I don't know, but look at him on the screen. He looks like he's on the toilet.
Did it say, okay, did it say whenever Como was still on the screen that he was actually 18 when he went missing?
Yeah, he never knows what's going on. He's a penal.
Yeah, that's true.
He's an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
Out to me, she said that she felt investigators.
What do you believe the truth is about Rudy's situation?
Initially, when the mother first reached out to me, she said that she felt investigators were intimidating her and harassing her, and that she was concerned about her son's well-being. And so when she called me, when it was time to meet with the investigators, I went in with a strict open mind, believing that maybe the mother was being harassed and law enforcement was being a little bit more insensitive. Well, come to find out, what she told me the day before was not matching up to what she was telling investigators on yesterday when they were questioning her.
Okay, now this is important for two reasons. One, he said what she was telling investigators wasn't matching up. Two, investigators would not tell him what she's telling them. Please keep that in mind.
So wait. So he's saying it wasn't matching up, but then he's saying that he didn't actually hear what she said because the cops wouldn't tell him?
No, I'm saying investigators wouldn't tell him. He's not part of the force.
So then what part of it wasn't matching up with the mom herself was telling Q? Is that what he meant by that?
Well, what I'm saying is what he said is that what she was telling the investigators and what she told me is not matching up. Well, investigators don't tell civilians
right
what they have been told. So he wouldn't know what she told the investigators.
Right. That's what I was meaning. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, how would he know that? Like, if he just said that the investigators weren't telling him what she said, then how would he know that the stories weren't aligning?
Exactly. We said the same thing, just different ways.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. Okay.
Situation.
Initially, when the mother first reached out to me, she said that she felt investigators were intimidating her and harassing her, and that she was concerned about her son's well-being. And so when she called me, when it was time to meet with the investigators, I went in with a strict open mind, believing that maybe the mother was being harassed and law enforcement was being a little bit more insensitive. Well, come to find out, what she told me the day before was not matching up to what she was telling investigators on yesterday when they were questioning her.
Investigators do not tell anyone, I don't care who you are, what they have been told in questioning. That is part of what's going to happen in trial.
She told me that the gentleman that had been seen around her house was an ex-boyfriend, but doing interrogation with law enforcement, she told them in my presence that the gentleman was her nephew. But
Okay, that's where he got it from.
Okay, but I have a question about this.
Mm-hmm.
Since when does law enforcement allow a civilian to be there for questioning?
Well, I mean, the same thing can be asked about him talking to Rudy. because he's claiming the detective was sitting there at the same time.
Okay.
And maybe for some reason they just allowed her the same, because if they're trying to say that she called him over there. And see, that's another thing I'm questioning, is because some of that stuff that you just popped up Googling him said that he like lied about, like presented himself like he was a lawyer. And that's really the only time legally I've known another adult to sit in with another adult during any sort of questioning. But this is also a really, 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 really unprofessional and informal setting that they're in. I don't know. None of it is protocol. Like, none of this is making any sense. I'm so confused.
None of it is protocol, but I will say this, okay? If the mother said, I want you here, and I mean, she could have said, this is my attorney. He's pretended to be an attorney before. If Rudy is scared to talk to police, they might have thought it was better to have an advocate there, because she had told him when he ran away, agencies are looking for you. And so I have to hide you out. So he could be scared of police. I'm trying to look at each side of the pancake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would make sense too. But I'm trying to figure out why they would allow him in the room to talk to her, for him to have heard that. That's why I'm just wondering if, because it's so informal and it's so strange, that maybe they were just doing whatever. Because the whole hotel thing is throwing all of this off. I don't know.
I just don't quite understand. She filed a missing persons report.
Mm-hmm.
He's been alive the whole time. Tell her to come to the police station. They had her in cuffs at the hotel.
Well, that's just according to Q.
Well, and her sister saw it too.
Oh, her sister saw it too? Okay. Well, then that makes even less sense, because obviously there's a reason why she would have been in cuffs. And they're sitting here in the press conference acting like her basically filing a false report because he showed back up wasn't enough to arrest her. So that wouldn't have been the reason they handcuffed her. So then it brings more validity to what's being said. But then it still makes no sense as to why the hell they would just take the cuffs off and not only not charge her then and there, but then let them leave together. And he also said that there's like some recording saying she went in the room and told him to take all that back.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if during this presser, if they're going to release that recording, because it sounds as if Home Dude has it himself. This isn't like a police recording. It's
he
him.
has it, and I have a feeling it's going to be on News Nation for a very hefty price. Don said, re-listen. He's not saying the investigators told him anything. You're absolutely right. He was in the room.
Yeah.
I stand corrected.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. He was listening in.
But also, her family had already indicated to us there was no nephew who was ever there. So once we saw Rudy was clutching her leg. She said Rudy was unresponsive, that he was nonverbal. But when we were able to remove Rudy from her, he said, well, I want Quan LX to stay in the room with me. I said, okay, and looked at the investigator. He said, no problem, fine, it's his choice. So when we removed her, the kid opened up. Took about maybe 5 minutes, but he opened up. And one of the things that he first said that stood out to me was, I just wanted to be free. I felt like a slave. He went on to say that she told him that you now got to be my husband. I'm going to now call you daddy of the house now. And she also convinced him that law enforcement was looking for him to arrest him, that he had warrants.
Okay. Oh, wow. My husband put up the Me Too hashtag because I said he better be bringing that penal home. All right. So he's saying that Rudy said he was treated like a slave. You know, he was running errands for Janie. He was doing her job for her. I mean, the whole 9 yards. Your daddy. I'm going to call you daddy. Smooching him on the mouth, opening up.
That's why I'm wondering if some of it happened when he ran away the first time, if he really did run away. Just because it was like 2 years after the dad was gone. And she's obviously got mental problems. So I'm just wondering if maybe that's the reason he ran away in the first place. Like maybe he really did run away I don't know. That's what's so confusing. This is so confusing.
It is. And I mean, everything I go through, it just takes me down another avenue, another rabbit hole, as they say, another deep dive.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Husband, I'm going to now call you daddy of the house now. And she also convinced him that law enforcement was looking for him to arrest him, that he had warrants for his arrest for running away from home, and that if they caught him, he was going to jail.
Quanell.
So she conditioned him to believe, yes.
Conditioned him to believe, meaning just through words, or do you think that he was abused by his own mother physically?
Oh, she did a lot more than that. She gave him drugs. She provided him with mushrooms, other type of drugs. Also, he admitted those things to us in the meeting. He also said that he ran away when he finally ran away from home and stole her car and left the house. He said, I just wanted to be free. We said, why? He said, because she was making me do things I knew was inappropriate. She was violating my boundaries. We said, what happened? He said, she was making me get in her bed at night and sleep with her.
Okay, this is where I'm very confused. One, when he uses the word slave and the way he makes it almost 3 syllables, I feel like we're getting race baited here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, when we heard earlier in the week, Rudy is nonverbal, but now he's saying she was violating my boundaries and making me do things that are inappropriate. Rudy is not a Harvard professor.
Right. Yeah. This isn't words coming from him. Mm-hmm. No. It's kind of like the Idaho PCA. You can tell that that's not the verbiage of a college student with the way certain things are described.
No. Because if he knows that type of lingo, he wouldn't be in this situation. Listen to it again. And there is nothing pointing that he is mentally slow. There is nothing pointing that there's anything wrong with him.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something right now. Something very, very, very bad went on in his childhood. His mother is a scammer and a half.
Yeah, for real.
The detectives need to get to the bottom of it as soon as they can. I mean, I know it's not going to happen overnight. It might take 6 months to get through all their stuff. But I mean, something's going to have to get figured out here.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of attention on this, so they better do something because there's a lot of attention on this. They can't just let all of this go.
No.
Said that he ran away when he finally ran away from home and stole her car and left the house. He said, I just wanted to be free. We said, why? He said, because she was making me do things I knew was inappropriate. She was violating my boundaries. We said, what happened? He said, she was making me get in her bed at night and sleep with her. And then he asked him, I said, well, anything else happen? He admitted that she would kiss him on his mouth and his lips when he was in the bed with her and that he did not like it. And he told her that he did not like that. And sometimes he would sneak out of the bed and get on the floor, but she kept making him get in the bed. He also said to us that she kept locking him in the room for years and then letting him out when it was time to go to work with her or whenever she wanted him to run an errand for her.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to...
Okay, so then he goes to work with her.
So, okay, but this car situation, that's something else I'm confused about. So it's like 2 weeks prior to him being found that happened?
Well, I believe, no, the car situation was the car situation is even more confusing.
I know.
Because, hang on.
Because I know there's a post from a while. See, that's the post I saw from over a year ago.
4 people at once hit her in the BMW.
So was there another car accident that wasn't reported that they're talking about when they're talking about this? Because it sounds like it was 2 weeks before he was found that there was him taking the car and like wrecking it. If I heard that right.
Well, they said he also wrecked the car. She said the car was stolen the day he was found, that he stole the car. Now, how, if he's been missing for 8 years, would he know where his mama keeps the keys and just go drive it down to the church?
But see, that's another thing that's confusing, because if he took off in her car, why was he found like laying outside of a church? Because wasn't he like laying unresponsive or some shit?
Yeah.
Like a homeless man, like huddling on the sidewalk? Because that's how I envisioned it. That makes no sense. If you stole a car, where's the car?
Then where's the car, Janie? Janie's saying he stole the car. If you look at this, she obviously doesn't have a beat up BMW, because she said she only had one car.
Mm-hmm.
She's saying this was the BMW, but look at this.
I just don't, because she drove back to the house. Was it last night? The night of the presser, or was it the night before? I think it was the day of the hotel situation. So it was day before the presser. So what is today? So Wednesday. She drove back to the neighborhood. They said she drove back to the neighborhood. They saw her car there, and the neighbors called the cops about her being there, reported her being there. And then she took off. And they didn't say that she was with anyone else. It was just her. So if she's got a car that was taken, how'd she get it back? If he's the one who took off with it, he wasn't found in a vehicle. He didn't go anywhere to tell police who he was while he had this vehicle. He just suddenly shows up huddled next to a church.
Okay, Snazzy said she has a rental car right now. Janie has a rental car. And there was like a big thing on Facebook Janie had on there, her actual profile, where she was trying to find auto insurance. And this was after the Alexis profile said that 4 people had hit the BMW. So look at what she said right here.
Because that was in March of 2020, right?
2022, I believe.
Yeah, 2022. Yeah, last year.
Putting up a car in her driveway Tuesday night.
When he first went missing, he didn't.
That beat up old thing is a rental. Look at the dents in the door.
I don't think that's a rental car. No.
That does not look like a rental. That thing is beat up.
Police, and they're trying to say that he might have done some crimes, which he didn't. And now they want to arrest me because they said I was hiding him.
Her 25-year-old.
So is she trying to imply that she's going to be arrested for hiding a fugitive? Is that what she's implying?
Yeah, they're saying that he did some crimes. She said, which he didn't.
They've never said that.
And so now they want to arrest me for hiding him.
Yeah, that's wanting to be arrested for harboring a fugitive. That's not the situation whatsoever. The police would have stated, he's wanted now for this, this, and this. No, that is okay.
He did some crimes, and now they want to arrest me for hiding him. Well, look, if you've done nothing wrong, you're not worried about being arrested. Listen to how she says it again.
They're loading up a car in her driveway Tuesday night.
When he first went missing, he didn't report it to the police, and they're trying to say that he might have done some crimes, which he didn't. And now they want to arrest me.
Oh, I get it now.
Hiding him.
Her 25-year-old son vanished 8 years ago at age 17.
It's just we've always, in our hearts, knew that he wasn't really missing.
So she just put it on him right there that it was his fault that he didn't report to the police that he wasn't actually missing. And that's okay.
Yep.
As a wife of a police officer, idiot knows better.
No, she knows how it works. And she also knows that when you call the police and say, my son is missing,
and
when
he's 17 at the time and a minor.
He's 17. Yeah. When he turns back up, you let him know. I think there was other things going on in the house. She did not want any sort of child protective services involved.
But that's why I question why she reported him missing then at 17. If that's the case, because that would bring that in. But then it didn't. So that's what's even more confusing.
But you see how her mind works.
Mm-hmm.
There's no accountability.
Yeah, you're putting it on a minor who was reported missing as a minor for, I mean, or at least that's the story that she's told him probably so many years, that she's literally just regurgitating it like it's fact.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's absolutely crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely crazy.
Nothing like this is even more confusing than Idaho.
It is.
really is.
And now we have the cousin talking to the penal of the day, Chris Cuomo, saying that Janie's manipulative.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, really?
But they've known that. Like they gave us examples of she should have been arrested for elder abuse with what they were telling us was going on with the mother.
Yeah.
Like years ago.
I mean, the only thing I can say about this case, I said it yesterday, is this.
Perfect. Perfect. Yes.
Holding son as sex slave.
So I wonder if that means that she heard him actually say those things too, or if she's just going off what Q said.
Well, there's a difference between, and I'm not saying kissing him on the mouth or anything is appropriate or messing with him in the shower, but this is crazy. This is, the police have got to get to the bottom of this because it is, well, this. So this is what the aunt says. And if all these people knew she was so manipulative, then why didn't you just go to the house and be like, hey, I'm here to hang.
Mm-hmm.
I heard Rudy's here.
Or not just that, but didn't the mom, like the elderly mom, like lived with Janie from how it sounds? The mom didn't see the kid there?
No, she did. She told one of the family members.
And they just didn't act on anything?
I see him all the time. She's like, I see him all the time.
So what, they thought she was just losing her mind?
Well, I think what we have is a very dysfunctional family.
Yeah.
Nobody cared about grandma getting the hell beat out of her by Janie.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, whatever. If crazy Janie wants to take care of, crazy grandma, have at it. She wants to pretend like Rudy's missing. I don't give a rat's ass. That's really what I think is going on.
Yeah, because they make a statement, I didn't want to get involved. Okay, well, what, get out now then, because why are you talking if you didn't want to get involved and it mattered? No one needs to see your face at this point.
I mean, family dysfunction is real, and how families operate is a thing. That's why, I say on here all the time, and I know you do on your on your channel, which I put this in the chat several times, your channel, that every case is different because people are different, and the family unit operates differently in every family.
Yep. Drastically.
And this one definitely does.
These circumstances, but at least now your cousin will hopefully be able to get some help. Do you believe what Quanell X just told us, that Rudy told him that he was never missing, that the mother played a game on his head and abused him in horrible ways?
Yes, I do.
How do you explain it?
Rudy, before his disappearance, was a very shy, timid young man, little boy. He was not one to do drugs, run the streets, be out of the house, go anywhere away from home. He wouldn't lie about something like this.
What about his mom?
Janie, on the other hand, is a whole different person. She's very conniving. She's very manipulative. She tries to make people fear her. Unless you really know her, know what she's about and how she is as a person, you won't have any fear of Janie.
Help me understand something. This will be a little in the weeds for people, but I need it in my head. Rudy's father, your uncle, passed away 2014, correct?
I'm not sure what year it was, but yes, he
right around there. 2011, your other cousin, Rudy's brother, passed away in a motorcycle accident. And I am told that the brother was older and had an insurance policy that named as the beneficiary his brother. Is that true?
Yes, that's what I was told years ago, and it came out again today.
Now, it is not only unusual that someone would name a sibling as a beneficiary, but it also puts money into this situation. Do you believe money was part of this situation? And if so, how?
Most definitely. Janie has always been one to be after money in any way she can get her hands on it. And she didn't care from who or how. She was going to do just that. She tried to make people believe that she had money, that she came from a whole lot of money. Like she was this wealthy person, and she always tried to live a high class life, and she didn't have that. If it wasn't for my grandma providing for her, giving her a place to live, or all the men that she's been with, she wouldn't have.
Now, ordinarily, Michelle, I would be offering this opportunity to your aunt to tell her side of the story and explain any of this away. We don't know where she is. You are.
Now, this seems to be the word on the streets. People don't know where Janie is.
Mm-hmm.
And just so everybody knows, I 100% stand by the victims. I believe that Rudy, from a young age, was manipulated, groomed, programmed. The other stuff Q said, I don't know until the police get into it. If he said it, he said it. It has to be addressed.
Yeah, and see what she said about him being like a shy, timid kid, and he didn't do drugs, he didn't run the streets. It kind of goes back to me thinking that maybe some of this might have been the original reason he did run away. Because it was a couple years after the dad had already died, and if she's telling him, "Oh, you're the husband now. You're gonna be the daddy now." Okay, well, that would have been right after dad, and that's like a mental reason for her to take possession of him in order for the ruse, to continue. I just don't feel as if it started after he came back home. At this point,
no, I think it started before he ran away or didn't run away.
Yeah.
Dolores is backstage. Hello, Dolores. Oh, you have your app on. Did you turn it off? Okay, she's got to turn off our YouTube app. If not, the echo's too much.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
And explain any of this away. We don't know where she is. You are aware of this as well, that people don't seem to know her location, and there's even some suggestion that people should be careful because she could be armed. Are you aware of this?
I'm sorry, you cut off. I was going off and on. I didn't get the last part of it.
Is it true that you don't know where she is right now, and that there's some suggestion that she might be armed or has access to weapons?
Oh, she is armed. She has 2 guns licensed to her. She is carrying. She's always carried them. And she, my understanding is she is hiding here in Houston somewheres, where we don't know.
Well, and Houston PD is going to say that's not a big deal because they're not looking for her.
Yeah. They're acting like she didn't do anything wrong, and the one thing that they get called out on for her faking a report or whatever, they're acting like it's not important enough. They had an opportunity to do anything, and they didn't. They didn't even take it. It sounds like she was never even brought to the actual police department once.
I don't believe so. Hey, Dolores. Hey, Dolores. Hey, Dolores. Hello, hello. Is Dolores there? Hello, hello, Dolores. Are you there? Now, something's not working. You have to turn off your YouTube app and make sure your devices are not connected. Indica said it's like a pot of hot water about to boil over. It really is. But I'm just catching too many I'm just catching too much talking out of both sides of the mouth.
Yeah.
People should be careful because she could be armed. Are you aware of this?
I'm sorry, you're cut off. I was going off and on. I didn't get the last part of it.
Is it true that you don't know where she is right now and that there's some suggestion that she might be armed or has access to weapons?
Oh, she is armed. She has 2 guns licensed to her. She's always carried them. And my understanding is she is hiding here in Houston somewheres where we don't know.
Can you believe there have been no charges in this case? With everything that you know and what Quan LX has said and what people in the community were saying, I mean, this is the crazy part to me, or one aspect, is that this is Houston. Not like some backwoods, in the mountains where nobody's ever around. And people have been saying, no, that's Rudy. Rudy's here. He's still in the neighborhood. How did the police get it so wrong?
They're just not doing their job. They don't want to believe anything, and they're not doing what they should be doing. Janie has been hiding him and keeping him and still telling the public, telling reporters, everybody nationwide that he is missing so she can collect money from different donation fundraisers and GoFundMe accounts. The police, if they had stopped her various times, as they have said, and have questioned and asked for their names, do you not get a driver's license or an ID to prove? I mean, my understanding is you get pulled over, the officer is supposed to ask for your registration and ID and insurance. Was this not provided? Did they not ask? I mean, I don't believe that she was giving fake names and just getting away with it. I think there's more to it, and they're just not saying. They're hiding something.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to News Nation.
Well, according to them, the investigation is still ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's given me a headache.
Yeah, the press conference this afternoon is going to be interesting.
At 5 o'clock?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna be streaming that.
Yeah, I'm going to be here watching it. That's going to be... I'm just curious if he's going to play something recorded. Because it'd be really interesting even if it's just the clip of her saying to him to take all of that back, that gives validity to like everything else without us having to hear details.
I have a feeling since he said everything is recorded. Now, I don't know if he was allowed to bring a cell phone with him. I don't know why he wouldn't. They're in a hotel.
Yep.
If he's not going to play the recording or have Rudy himself there.
Yeah, well, Texas is also a one-party state, so nobody in the room even had to know that they were being recorded. All he would have had to have said in the beginning of it or made acknowledgement of is that he was the one party that is acknowledging the recording. So it would be illegal.
Oklahoma's a two-party state.
No, Texas is one.
If you call me and record me, you're going to get in trouble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Texas, or at least it was a decade ago whenever I learned this law. I don't think it's changed. I mean, it could have, but yeah, it's a one-party state as far as I know.
All right, before I wind this down, here's something to compare to about how adult children can get convinced of what's going on. I know a lot of you have reached out to me and said, this reminds you of Gypsy Rose
Yeah.
Some people believe her, some people don't. She's going to be out of jail soon. She's married now. My understanding is she's going to be moving to Louisiana by her dad with her husband. Just listen to what she says. Let's just keep an open mind, which I know you guys do.
Tell your dad?
No, my mother would tell me such awful things about my father. My parents are divorced. My mother would tell me he abandoned us. He doesn't want anything to do with you. He's happy with his new family now. He doesn't love you. So I thought, why bother going to him when he won't care?
They started moving further and further away, and the village became more scarce. I'd call and say, where's Gypsy? Let me talk to her and say, well, she's taking a nap. Call back in an hour. I'll have her ready for you. So, I'd call back and, she'd be ready there with all the right answers. And it's scary to think what she told Gypsy, the consequences she'd have if she did see anything,
Pretty soon, I found a couple of bits of paper in my mom's safe, things that stated that I was born in 1991. Made me question my real age. I asked her about it. She said that it was a typo. I had taken those papers and the Medicaid card that I found with my actual real birthday on it, and I ran away from home. I didn't get very far because she found me pretty quickly and took me back home. Boy, was I in a lot of trouble.
What happened when you got home?
She smashed my laptop.
How did she smash it?
It was a hammer. And she told me if I was to contact anybody, any of her friends, and tell them that she would take a hammer to my fingers.
Now, these women can get control of their children and convince them of anything. Because all the kids know is this is where I get my food, my water. This is my safe place. This is she's the adult. She knows more than me. I could see this going on with Rudy.
Yeah.
I could see this going on.
Yeah, I agree.
It scares the hell out of me.
It was a hammer. And she told me if I was to contact anybody, any of her friends, and tell them that she would take a hammer to my fingers next time. And then she put a bell on the door, so if I tried to run away again, she could hear it. And she had taken handcuffs and a dog leash, and tied it together, and tied me to the bed, chained me to the bed.
So how long were you tied to the bed?
About 2 weeks. I just don't understand how somebody can do this to their child that they're supposed to protect and love, not use them as a cash cow and use them for their own means.
Do you think she loved you?
When I was younger, I thought that. And then when I found out the truth, I'm like, I didn't know this woman at all, did I? Everything that she ever told me was a lie. So how can I honestly believe her whenever she told me she loved me?
She kept you in a wheelchair. She kept you on a feeding tube. She had you diagnosed with asthma, hypoventilation, epilepsy, hearing and vision impairment, GI reflux, muscular dystrophy, quadriplegia, mild mental retardation, as she called it, anemia, allergies, leukemia, incontinence, lung disease, heart murmur, all of these things. They had you on pages and pages of medications, many of which have side effects that mimic the diseases that she said you had. You were being set up.
Right.
Why would she do that to you?
Because she's crazy.
Do these doctors ever get in trouble?
They do. Some have lost their licenses, but they have to get a better system. And I mean, they have it for people seeking opioids.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go from doctor to doctor to doctor with a child, they're like, well, I need to get the records from your last doctor. Well, in this case, they said all the records were lost in Hurricane Katrina, so we have to start from new. And her mother said, well, this is what she has. Hang on one second.
Okay.
Anyone miss me? No, I'm working right now. All right, let's look at this. A former private investigator has talked about the case of Rudy. Sorry, I have someone here fixing our lights.
Oh, you're fine. I had someone in here doing stuff with my kitchen yesterday.
Like I say all the time, you're in good hands.
News Corley Field live from Farias' home in Northeast Houston. She is live with reaction from those who searched for years. There's Corley right there trying to find Farias. Corley?
I spoke with a private investigator who worked closely on this case. She says it is disheartening knowing that Farias was never missing and was at this home the entire time. Volunteers search far and wide through wooded areas, hunting down any tip that could lead them to Rudy Farias, all to discover his mother was hiding him in plain sight, according to police.
It's disappointing. It's heartbreaking. The amount of people in the community that came together for him to just be able to help and provide this mother for answers. And she was holding the cards the whole time.
I spoke with private investigator Brenda Paradise. At the time, she was volunteering with We Help the Missing. She says Farias' mother asked the nonprofit to help with the case after Rudy never returned from walking his dogs on March 6, 2015. Paradise still has her audio notes.
I'm lost with this one as to whether, somebody's got him hidden somewhere or whether he just, or whether maybe mom was involved.
She says Farias' mother's stories never seem to add up. This GoFundMe his mother posted while he was missing earned more than $2,000. After learning he was never missing, GoFundMe tells KPRC2 the fundraiser has been removed.
Some of those resources we have to pay out of our own pockets for. So, as volunteers, we're willing to do that for families of the missing, and that's
Okay, and this is a huge problem. So when you bring in a private investigator and you don't have the money and they're paying out of their pocket, or a Tim Miller EquiSearch, and they're taking private donations to help find the missing, and someone is not missing, to me, that's a crime.
Yeah, it's called fraud. I don't understand why she's not being charged with anything. But this right here shows that there was a search. Like this, was that footage from like the actual search of him from a long time ago that they dug up or got from this lady?
Yep, I'm going to go through it again.
With a private investigator who worked closely on this case, she says it is disheartening knowing that Farias was never missing and was at this home the entire time. Volunteers search far and wide through wooded areas, hunting down any.
But he was at home. Why did they ever get a search warrant for the home?
No.
And go in?
No, they said it on the press conference because that was asked by one of the media people, and they were like, "No, we had no reason to." And I was like, "Excuse me, why would you possibly think that in a missing persons case, you wouldn't search the home?"
I'm going to assume because he's 17, and obviously, if he's 17, you can't really hide him.
Well,
I mean, that's all I can think of.
But they act like they never even walked into her house.
And we've heard that he was taking a walk. We heard that he was walking dogs. We heard that he saved a girl that was being essayed out in a field. And then he was taken by the human traffickers to Mexico and then followed the moon back to Houston. We heard that the human traffickers took him to Dallas. There's so many stories his mother has told. And if I was Tim Miller and if I was this woman, I'd be suing the pants off of her.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
That could lead them to Rudy Farias, all to discover his mother was hiding him in plain sight, according to police.
It's disappointing. It's heartbreaking. The amount of people in the community that came together for him to just be able to help and provide this mother for answers. And she was holding the cards the whole time.
I spoke with private investigator Brenda Paradise. At the time, she was volunteering with We Help the Missing. She says Farias' mother asked the nonprofit to help with the case after Rudy never returned from walking his dogs on March 6, 2015. Paradise still has her audio notes.
I'm lost with this one as to whether, somebody's got it hidden somewhere or whether he just, or whether maybe mom was involved.
She says Farias' mother's stories never seem to add up. This GoFundMe his mother posted while he was missing earned more than $2,000. After learning he was never missing, GoFundMe tells KPRC2 the fundraiser has been removed.
Some of those resources we have to pay out of our own pockets for.
Okay, well, here's the thing. If the fundraiser has been removed, I don't know the statute of limitations in Texas for fraud. I don't know.
I don't know either. Well, I'm going to look.
Because I would think that they could do something with that. I mean, a financial crime is a financial crime.
Under Texas law, claims for breach of contract, fraud, and breach of fiduciary duty are subject to 4-year statutes of limitation. So
All right.
4 years.
Yeah, so she got out of that.
Technically, yeah.
She got out of that.
Damn.
So, as volunteers, we're willing to do that for families of the missing. And that's part of the heartbreak in all this, is that so many resources were just misused.
Paradise says those funds could have helped other families. GoFundMe also tells us that the beneficiary from Farias' GoFundMe page has been banned from any future fundraisers. Reporting live from Northeast Harris County, Corley Peel, KPRC2 News.
This kid is not a kid anymore.
Okay.
See, I don't understand if he's saying.
She said that, though. I love that she said that. GoFundMe said that the beneficiary is blocked, can never raise money on GoFundMe again. Yet Janie, using the Bella profile, said, we're not going to start a GoFundMe. It's because they can't.
They can't. I mean, I'm sure she could figure out a way if she really wanted to. But, I mean, I'm sure it's being watched as well for code words. You can't just, fake a situation. I mean, you can fake a situation. People do it all the time, I'm sure. But anything related to Rudy would probably be flagged. But I don't understand if he's sitting there telling the police that she was like holding him against his will this whole time and not, you know, whatever. And they have all this proof that he was home the next day. Like, I don't understand why they're not trying to at least like hold her on kidnapping.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I mean, I think it's because he was wandering around freely around the neighborhood.
Yeah, but only recently, right? Like, it really hadn't been that long. It'd been like less than a year from what the neighbor said.
And going to work with her. So,
yeah.
You know, but I mean, Elizabeth Smart walked around freely with her captors. So nobody says to Elizabeth Smart, hey, why didn't you just run away?
This is just, it's just so confusing. Because, like, I have those questions. I mean, and honestly, I mean, you can ask the same questions for anyone. But I guess, you know, it does go back to, like, the psyche of, like, violence and trauma. Because isn't, like, the statistic, like, 7 times before, like, someone who's going through DV actually, like, separates from the situation permanently? It's usually, like, an average of, like, 7 back and forths. So I guess for victims like that, even being out in the real world, you'd have to, like, evaluate the situation that you're in just to know if the people that you might be running to are even going to do a damn thing. Because so many times these days we see situations that people just stand by on their phones doing absolutely nothing to help anybody. And then to know that you could get away far enough to where you could reach that person before, you know, your captor does something to you. So, I mean, I guess it explains why some of them do take a while. But if we're hearing that he's literally just like on his own, driving her vehicle to go run errands in town and stuff like that.
With her credit card.
Yeah, like you go pull $1,000 out that idiot's bank account, take her car, take off, go where you got to go, and then tell people who you are. Like, you've had ample opportunities as a 25-year-old man. I don't know. I mean, but we also don't know the damage any drugs would have done to his brain either. If that's
And
true.
we don't know the damage that she did to him.
Yeah.
So we don't know. But when they said they called adult services and all this stuff, and counseling, well, no one's going to tell a 25-year-old he's got to go to counseling. So I really hope Houston police steps it up and does an actual investigation. You don't have to have probable cause to bring someone in for questioning.
No. And just the simple fact that they know that he was back home and she was hiding him from this missing persons report for so long, to me, that's enough to get some sort of search warrant. Because then they can just go in. I mean, I know that the cops were there, but have they actually gone into the house yet? Like, I know they showed up whenever the cops were called about her being back at the house on Wednesday. But have they gone in and collected any sort of evidence of him actually living there yet?
I've only seen them outside the house with the damn bars on it.
Yeah, that tells you it's a bad area. Mm-hmm.
But the other homes, because Slim went through the images, the other homes don't have bars on them.
So just hers?
Yeah.
That's weird. Okay.
So was she doing that? Was she doing that to keep him in?
I mean that's a way to look at it if hers is the only damn one with him. But then he's walking around the neighborhood.
I mean, telling him, look, if you don't come back, then I have to lock the door and you won't be able to get out. I don't see how that's even with fire codes to have bars on the windows. Because if there's a fire, how are you going to get out?
Oh, I know, but it's like that everywhere in those areas in Texas and big cities. Every house for miles of blocks, nothing but bars, apartment buildings, businesses, houses. Oh yeah, it's not safe at all. Not for having to escape out of, for sure. I just don't know. This case, it just doesn't make any sense at all.
None of it. I mean, it's like if you buy like 4 or 5 puzzles, from a garage sale,
mm-hmm.
and you throw it in the floor. It's not fitting together.
Yeah, none of it.
I was trying to do a timeline yesterday, and I mean, the timeline doesn't make any sense at all. It's blowing my mind.
Yeah, I really just don't. I don't even really know what to think. Like, I almost feel stupid, like, because I'm sitting here, like, really trying to process a coherent thought about what I actually feel about what's happening here, but it's so jumbled. I really just can't. I can't piece a string of words together that appropriately makes any sense for what this is.
The only thing I can make out of it is it's a total scam. She used her son. She has told tons of stories, lies, you name it. And
so do you think it backfired? Like, do you think that maybe she like brought homeboy in Q thinking that like he's a scammer, he's not going to really care, but he's an advocate, he's a male, maybe it'll give us some validity, but then maybe she didn't expect Rudy to actually say what he said, and that's why she's now taken off?
That's what happened. It backfired because she was hoping Q would come out and say, he's mentally ill. She's been looking for him for years.
Yeah, because it's really strange the way he describes it in like the flow of the change, because he makes it seem as if physically this grown-ass man was hugging onto the leg of his mother until the cops separated them. Like he was like hovering for safety is what he's making it seem like. And then the second she's gone, it's almost as if a switch is flipped and all that nonverbal bullshit that we've been hearing over the past week completely goes away and he's speaking. And so it almost does make it I kind of almost do feel as if maybe it did backfire on her. Like maybe him taking off in the car was like him making her well aware, I'm done with this. I'm done with it. And maybe she just figured out a scam to make them both happy with the situation, at least in the conversation. And he only went along with it in order to be able to tell his truth. But I don't know why he wouldn't have just like said it to the first responders that showed up. That's another thing I'm trying to figure out. Like, was she called to the church?
She met them at the police department, but I've heard 2 or 3 different stories about this.
Yeah, because from what I'm comprehending, he, a nonverbal at the time person, denied medical attention from, I guess, the first responders that showed up when the church guy called. It sounds as if in that situation, police and an ambulance would pop in. So I don't understand how. I don't understand the sequence of events here.
Oh, I think she was laying on the couch, smoking Newports, waiting on him to return with her Burger King chicken fingers.
Well, yeah, but if we're trying to say that, or you know, in this segment of theory, that this was something that she planned and it backfired, that wouldn't be the case. She'd be waiting for a call from the cops. Hey, your long lost son has been found. But he has your credit card on him that you opened 6 years after he went missing. I don't understand. I don't understand.
But I mean, if you look at this, her alter ego Bella said any family or close friends who can sit with Rudy overnight tonight, he can't be left alone. No one said that. He's 25.
Yeah. And there's staff everywhere.
Yeah. He can't be left alone. Mom needs to go get a shower and some rest. She is about to crash if she doesn't. Also, the hospital contacted me to remove his hospital wristband and photos for his safety, especially after 2 sketchy male individuals, anonymously, spelled wrong, requesting info on him and his whereabouts. So if you have forwarded any photos of him or his hospital wristband, please delete it immediately. Thank you. Now, if your child has been missing for 8 years, are you going to go home?
Well, yeah, but also these are fake photos. Or not fake, but they're old as hell.
Yeah.
But I love how she's like continuing the whole he was kidnapped thing. So are they saying that like 2 male, okay, I know it's fake story, but is she insinuating here that like 2 different males contacted the hospital, or that somehow these 2 sketchy males are contacting other people trying to find out where he is, but she's not showing valid proof of that?
The human traffickers that bagged his head when he saved the girl when he was walking the dogs.
Yeah. No, I for one, you can't see his face in like any of these photos. None of the ones that I've seen anyway. Like you can see like half of his face and like a obliquely lined blanket over his face or whatever. But other than that and like his feet, there's really no, I don't know. I don't even know how she thought she was going to be able to get away with any of that.
And there's stories saying that he never went to the hospital at all. He
From
went back
at the church.
Yeah, from the church. He was never taken to the hospital.
So, okay, so that's why, okay. So church guy calls 911 because there's someone outside the church. A cop shows up. EMS shows up. He tells the cop his name is Rudy? Or is this whenever he said he's somebody named, whatever the hell the other name was, started with a J?
Julio.
Yeah. Is this whenever he says, I'm a 14-year-old Julio?
Then from there, she gets a hold of Q.
No, but hold on. But hold on. How did she get notified if we're supposed to believe that he said he was Julio whenever he was talked to at the church? How did the cops even find out about this if he was given a false ID at the church for her to have even been contacted for this to be a thing? That's why I'm so even more confused, because we don't even know the sequence of events for that. Like, this sounds fake. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, Dolores said the mom said she took him afterwards, but she never brought him. It's another one of her lies.
Okay, but that's my question. Did he tell the police at the time, I'm Rudy Farias, and they got a hold of Stupid Face, and that's how she got him? Or did he say, my name is Julio? Because if he said, my name is Julio, how are they calling her to come and pick him up? And if he's saying he's a 14-year-old named Julio, they ain't about to just let him leave at no rando who can't prove that she's his mother.
No.
So none of that is even making any damn logical sense either.
No. Dolores said the aunts said the mother just showed up to the church when the cops showed up. So maybe was the gig up? And so she was tired of it. Maybe someone spotted him at work and he said,
Or
my name's Rudy.
Well, see, and that kind of tells me that maybe he really did run away from her. And if she showed up at the church whenever the cops did, then she was maybe trying to find him because he ran away.
And he had a credit card from 2 years ago, even though he's been missing for 8 and he's been seen around the neighborhood. I mean,
and they would have pulled this information up whenever, because they couldn't have just let him leave with her without her at least showing valid identification of who she was if a cop was actually there. So he would have had to have said he was someone who was over 18 and not a 14-year-old named Julio in order for that to have transpired. Because I don't care. At this point, the cops have been called and you're sleeping outside of a church. I'm not letting you leave with anyone as a police officer or an EMS. So I don't understand how if they had to, by protocol, verify who the hell she was, regardless, because now you've shown up at a 911 call of this, who knows what's going on here. It wouldn't have pulled up that she had a missing kid.
She had been posting about car insurance. And, remember, according to her, her car was stolen and it was wrecked. I think what happened last Thursday, the 29th, was an insurance scam. And she told him to go hide behind the church. And from there, it unfolded. So then she got a hold of Q, who is very, active in the community. He knows how to rattle cages. And it's just gone crazy since then. I think it's just been one scam after another from Janie using Rudy.
But that's what I'm trying to figure out, because I'm not understanding. Like, he would have had to have said his name was Rudy in order for her to have been the one that got to leave with him. But if that was said, it would have showed up whenever they pulled her information in their stupid little cop computers, the missing persons report. It would have. They wouldn't have been able to just go freaking home. It would have been pulled up. They would have been like, holy crap, why are you with him? We have a missing persons report right here, but he's right here. And now here you are too. That would have instantly been an open investigation and I'm taking you in. So I don't understand this whole thing at all. Like, how did we even get here to where the cops are now involved in this situation is now where I'm at. Because I don't understand how he left with her from this church. Then we're sitting here complaining about how the investigators didn't talk to him for a whole week, but now we're hearing he wasn't even in the hospital, so the cops wouldn't have even known that he was needing to be talked to. I'm more confused.
Well, I think somehow, according to the Houston Chronicle, he communicated to the cops somehow that his name was Rudy, and they did find out he was the boy that was missing in their system.
And just let him leave with the mom who randomly showed up out of nowhere randomly.
And then they were like, oh, hallelujah. He's been found behind a church.
And his mom just magically appeared out of nowhere with no phone call.
Yeah.
It's a miracle.
Make it make sense.
I hate
That's
this
all I
so
can
much.
say.
I hate this so much.
This is just crazy. The lies don't stop. But I think she sent him out to be Satan's secretary and purposely wreck the car for an insurance scam because they needed more money. Just like all
that would bring him out of hiding. That would automatically bring him out of hiding, though, with him being the one in the car. Unless he was trying to report it stolen.
Not if it's stolen.
Right. That's okay. So that makes more sense.
Because
he wasn't supposed to be seen.
Yeah, he went and hid behind the church. So when stuff calmed down, I think she probably told him, then get back home, and then the police will investigate and we'll get the insurance money. But instead, he opened up his pie hole and said, "Oh, I'm Rudy." He
After
didn't say
saying that he
Dolph.
was Dolph forever.
Yeah.
Maybe he took her scam as the opportunity then.
And that could have been it too.
Mm-hmm. Because if he was told, which doesn't, I don't understand. I mean, that could be the plan, that this moron, whatever, because it wouldn't make sense for him to not just be like automatically going back to the house. They're not going to send cops to your house for a car accident. They're not going to search your house because of a car accident if your car is stolen. So I don't know why he would have been hiding out overnight, because when he like found early in the morning or something, like he'd been sleeping there. Or did I read that wrong?
Well, and she had been posting about how she needed car insurance ASAP. Next thing you know, the car is stolen. He wrecks it. He's found behind a church. He communicates, according to the Houston Chronicle, that he is that Rudy. And then she gets a hold of Q saying that they're harassing her, which the police don't harass you. They have no right to. We have a constitution. They can bring you in for questioning.
But that's not even the facts, though, because the cops don't even want to handle it. So how the hell are they harassing something that they don't give a damn about? And it's obvious.
You think maybe she was scared shitless? She was sweating bullets?
Probably. I don't think, I mean, if this is how this ends up unfolding, because this sounds logical, you know, now that we're kind of flowing through it, it sounds logical. It would seem as if he would have taken this opportunity to say something, and then she had to figure out a way to, she would have had to have figured out a way to like not be in trouble for it. And it sounds as if Rudy is still stating he doesn't want her to go to jail. So maybe the plan was never for any of this stuff to come out. But if she called Q there, I don't see why he would then turn on the person who brought him in if there wasn't a reason. That's why I feel like if he's coming out and saying this stuff and she's the one who brought him there, it kind of makes it a little bit more valid to me, because he's not, coming up with another story or listening to another story from her about the trafficking thing. Because I feel like if they were trying to keep the trafficking story going, then that's the story that Q would have came out with. All the things these traffickers made him
Q
do.
said these other things. And please remember, he never said there was an incestual relationship. She kissed him on the mouth, told him to lay by her in bed. He felt it was inappropriate. She would bother him in the shower, which is creepy as hell. Don't get me wrong. But there, we know what the I is. Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, he would make kind of like statements after vague details. He would make statements that kind of makes you think that there's more to it that he's just refusing to say. But I feel like if this was part of her plan, then they would have kept the trafficking story, because we know he's a scammer from what we're Googling here. So it's not like it wouldn't be against his morals to do whatever she was asking. Right. So it seems like if he would have came out and was like, these are all the things that traffickers made Rudy do, these are all the things that the traffickers did to Rudy, would make more sense than what we're hearing. He turned on the person who brought him in, and there has to be a reason. I kind of like, I feel like what he's saying is probably pretty real, and it was just unexpected. I think her plan failed.
I think it backfired.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened.
She thought he was going to say anything.
And you scam and you scam and you scam. You hit a dead end road. And I think she hit the dead end road is what I think. Mm-hmm. I think when Q was talking to him with the detective, he said she was inappropriate. She wanted me to sleep in the bed with her. I got into the floor and she said, no, get into the bed with me. You're the daddy now. She tried to kiss him on the mouth. And you know, him being 25 years old, they're not going to do too much about that.
Yeah. Sadly.
Now, if he had been chained in the basement and she was doing things to him, that would be a different story. But I think he has been groomed since before his brother died for all of these scams. I think she was using him.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's 2 different motorcycle accidents too. It almost makes you think something else.
Absolutely, my friend. Well, this has been a great show. I didn't mean to keep everybody for so long, but we had so much to go through, and we have more to go through this weekend. Jules, you want to do a show tomorrow?
Sure.
Because I'm digging on this. I'm telling you, this woman is crazy. You wouldn't believe the stuff she's done over the years.
Yeah, I haven't dug it too much into it myself because just everything that I'm already hearing is like really disturbing. Like this lady needs a mental straitjacket and a padded room. There's severe issues here. Severe.
What do you guys think is wrong with Janie Santana?
I mean, you know, I binge watch Catfish a lot. And you know, there's people that they create these profiles and they live them like it's their real life. Like the life they're living where they go to work and they pay their bills is literally like a video game in their brain because their online life is their reality.
Yep.
And a lot of these, I mean, you know, they try to make, you know, sad stories, blah, blah, blah. As an adult, you're responsible for your actions. Your sad stories can only really take you so far with me because there's ways to heal yourself if you really choose to. But it's always some sort of emotional trigger. Either they're lonely and they can't take it anymore because they're going crazy, or they have, you know, issues with the way that they look and they've been bullied because of it. And so it triggers an emotional thing and they're just trying to be somebody else. But to do it to this level, that's different. I think this is definitely a level up. This is a definite level up from that. Because you're involving your child, you're hiding him away, you're lying to the police about where your child is. Like this is an intense level of psychotic. But I mean, you can't really call it a multiple personality disorder because she's unable to keep her identities in check. Like she makes slip ups. So it's not like it's a mental switch to where she really like embodies these people. These are literally just like fake and it's a game to her, which to me is kind of worse because you're making the conscious choice. It's not like your mental capabilities are pushing you to that, to where you believe that this entity is really you. Like you're purposely just making up a bunch of bullshit for no reason other than, you know, you can.
Well, she knows she can. She knows that she's a scam artist.
Mm-hmm. I mean, her husband was a fraudulent cop. So it's like Rudy really got it embedded in him both ways. Really.
And she got his pension. She got everything from him.
Mm-hmm. And like the way that the cousin was talking about how she always wanted to like live like she had money, but she really didn't have money and they knew that. Well, they weren't like, they had to have known that she was spending whatever inheritance, I mean, whatever pension or whatever money that Rudy would have gotten from the brother's accident. Like they would have known that she's just blowing all this money and it's not even her money to be blowing. She got it from other means. And it never bothered them that, you know, your kid is missing, you're just blowing all his money.
Too. And I believe that what went down last week was an insurance scam in the making. I really do.
It does make it sound that way. It really does, honestly. Like the way that it goes together, and it does. It really does. But it's where the police failed here is the connect that I'm just not comprehending.
Me either. All I can say is this. That's all it can be. I mean, they are out of their damn minds.
Yeah. I wasn't impressed at all with them yesterday.
I mean, they're out of their minds.
I'm really ashamed to be texting right now. This is absolutely nuts.
Well, you know what? It's your turn because normally, Oklahoma makes me look like a sack full of assholes.
Yeah, there's some crazy stories everywhere. Really, the world's just going to shit. It's rampant.
Oh, it really is. It's one thing after another. I just can't keep up anymore. Maybe it's because I'm getting older and I pay too much attention to all these different things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like I'm kind of burned out on it because, like I said, I used to pay like so much attention to things because it would just make me so angry realizing truths to stuff. And then I just finally realized, like, I can't carry this tension of this with me constantly because it's reflected in everything. And as long as my kids know the truth about things and we know how we have to maintain things, we can do things that matter to where we're not completely complicit with the bullshit, but also know that we have to live this life. And as long as we just know the reality, I think I'm okay. I'm okay with not digging further because it stresses me out. And I mean, I know that humans are broken. This world has gone absolutely insane. France is literally on fire. There's stuff happening that makes no logical sense, but in reality, it's been happening forever. We just have the capabilities of the internet now that throws it in our faces nonstop.
And that's what I've had so many conversations about in Discord Live. I'm like, this has been going on for centuries, but now we know because we're so connected.
Yeah, it's instantaneous.
I mean, half of these cases, I don't know what year you were born, but let me tell you what. You what?
88.
88. Oh, God bless you. Now I was born in 75. Let me tell you something right now. When I would walk through the grocery store with my parents, we had milk cartons with missing children on there.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents were smoking cigarettes in the grocery store, and they're like, you get away from us, you're going to be on one of those.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we learned.
Yeah.
If anybody knocks at this door, don't open it because they're going to kidnap you, and it's going to be your fault.
Because you opened the damn door. Yeah.
If you answer the phone, it could be a kidnapper. And I was like, okay, I'm not touching that damn phone,
Yeah. They had to put the fear in you. But see, these days, like younger generations, they're so desensitized to things. And like my kids, they play video games and they get on YouTube and stuff like that. But they have something that a lot of kids don't. And that's the knowledge of the difference. And that's the big problem is that the majority of, the two youngest generations, they haven't really been taught a lot about realities of things and how what you see on the internet, that's not really real life. A lot of that's fake. If you do these things, it's dangerous. You should not be doing this. It's not okay. This is putting you in danger. It's always just all the flash that's thrown in their faces and not the realities of anything. And it's not taught in the schools really that much either. What do they have? Like one person come in once a year and everybody's bored to death during a 1 hour speech. And then that's it. No warnings, no nothing. They're not prepared.
No. And I've been preparing a show for the other channel, my second channel, to talk about this because, kids, there's so many kids that all they've ever known is the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So the human contact they don't get.
Critical thinking skills either. Whenever we wanted to find an answer to something, we couldn't go and speak it with the way that our brains are thinking the question and the AI on the other end know exactly what I mean to give me the answer I'm looking for. We had to beg to go to a library and get a book and find the page and read it. We had to put effort into our knowledge. These kids don't know that. And if the world, like we kind of saw it with the pandemic, they lost their shit. The older people, we figured it all out. We helped our community. We shared things we needed to share, and it wasn't a big deal. But the younger generation lost their freaking minds because they were too overloaded. They were way too overloaded with something that they'd already been programmed with. It was almost like they were getting overdosed with the internet. And we're seeing the effects of that. It's everywhere. And
everything is instantaneous.
Survive things. They're not being taught things.
You want to find a recipe, just look it up. There's no reason to go to your recipe box and find something you wrote down. There's no telephone books.
No.
My parents were, they bragged on their encyclopedias they had. My dad still has them in his hallway bedroom that goes back into his bedroom. So when we would have to study for school for a paper or anything, we'd have to sit there and read that bitch.
Yep. And it
Now-
took hours and hours.
Yeah.
They
And,
got
and
it so
if,
easy
and
these
if
days,
the
man.
teacher said I need it done on a typewriter, well, then you had to do it on a typewriter. You know, I mean, my son was talking about this guy who works under him, and he was in Craig. And my son, he said, this guy has no critical thinking skills. You know, and my son's been in the Air Force since 2012, and he said, he goes, well, I did a Google search, but I only went like four searches down. Craig's like, yeah, you might have to spend some time.
Yeah.
The answer doesn't just pop up.
Yeah, their brains, like every generation, I feel like their capabilities are lessening. Because it's kind of like the way that kind of like evolution works in animals. I feel like it works the same way with the way that the two parents work with their critical thinking and their stress levels and things. Like a lot of things, especially like behavioral traits and things, are passed down. And I feel like it goes with the way that the brain works as well. Because if the parents are, they don't really ever have to think, everything is done for them. They have a smart house where it fixes the temperature, and AI kitchens are cooking things and everything's instant and at a fingertip and one tap pay, and the kids are going to be worse. Like eventually we're going to be like Wall-E. We're going to be on these little scooter things, getting fed out of a cup and having everything done for us. That's where it's heading. It's horrible. It's a scary
Gamer
thought.
Lover said maps, no GPS. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, sitting on the phone for like 2 hours to find out or looking at the newspaper to find out what was playing at the movies.
Oh yeah, calling the theater. Yeah.
Yeah. And I missed the telephone book, because I tell you what, when I was 12, 13, 14, 15, every Friday night, me and my girlfriends, you give me a telephone book, we were busy forever.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh my God. If I saw a teenager line, kids line, anything, I mean, I'd call. I mean, we just sit there and just start calling people.
I mean, and these days, kids don't even know their parents' phone numbers. They get lost without their phone. They don't even know how to tell the cops how to find their parents. Like all of the memory capacity is failing. It's going away. It's not being used up anymore. So it fades. The internet and technology, like it can be a very useful tool, but not in the direction that it's going. It's destroying humans. That's just what it is. That's why violence and thing is worse now, because it's in our faces so much. It's just like predictive programming. It desensitizes your brain to where whenever you see certain things, well, then your morality kind of gets chipped away because you see it so much. So your brain starts to think it's not so bad because I see it constantly. So then whenever you get yourself into a stupid situation, you don't really think twice because your brain has already been programmed to, it's not that bad. It's getting insane. I really want to take my kids and just build this huge bunker underground and just never leave, because everything is going wild. It's so dangerous to even go to the store these days.
I used to tell my kids all the time, I'm like, I would love to send you back to 1982.
Mm-hmm.
I said, with no game boxes, you would have an Atari, you would have a TV in the floor, that was also had a big old VCR on it, no remote controls. With the remote control,
you were the remote.
That was you.
Yeah, you were the
shag
remote.
carpet. I mean, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so damn old. I was looking at something the other day, and it pulled up Google Maps, and I'm like, "Where the hell is MapQuest?" That's how I used to get everywhere. I would print
Yes.
it out.
Yes, I remember MapQuest.
I tell you what, MapQuest and MySpace, they were the shit. Let me tell you something right now. Old boy at MySpace would never treat me the way Zuckerberg does.
Oh, I know. There's so many memes from that too. Like, I gave you music and themes and let you rank your friends, and this is what you left me for. Like, yeah, it's crazy too, because whenever Zuckerberg started all his crazy shit with Facebook, a lot of people were like begging for MySpace to come back. And it's still there, but like you really can't get any of your old information. I think the last time I was even like on my MySpace, I was probably like pregnant with my now 14-year-old son. Probably the last time I was on MySpace.
Nice, he said, and the antenna. Oh, that was always
Oh, yeah.
when my parents wanted to watch a show and my dad had the aluminum foil out and he was putting it on the rabbit ears and he was like, damn it, I told you to hold that a certain direction so I'm like, I'm holding it.
And it's crazy how like it really doesn't even feel like it's been a very long time span for how much things have advanced. It really doesn't. Because that's like that's real. Like there was dial-up phones and there was no like cell phones were like the size of briefcases, and it really wasn't that long ago. And now like we have these bendable phones, and now they're wanting to make translucent glass phones and computers and AI that looks real and really makes you think you're about to be attacked by a tiger when it's really just a light game. Like it's insane how much things have advanced because it really hadn't been that long.
It really hasn't. Technology is really fast. We had a phone cord before my parents got fancy and got the Cobra phone that had the antenna that went up to the ceiling. And that phone cord, I swear to God, would reach anywhere around the house.
Oh yeah, it was like infinity feet long. Take it anywhere.
Yeah, crazy. All right, guys. Well, this has been a great conversation. We're going to continue this on the other channel because I would love to have Jules come back and all of you to talk about how times have changed and how kids have changed, and they don't quite understand until we get a DeLorean and we send them back and say, enjoy that. But in the meantime,
you're grounded to 1995.
Situation with Rudy is something else.
Yeah.
I'm starting to lean towards the side of HPD that they're not finding any evidence and it could all be a scam. But you know how fickle I am. I can change my mind by tomorrow.
Oh yeah, me too. Just depends on what we hear.
And at 5 o'clock, I'm going to be back to see what they say. Okay, there's the other channel right there. I'm going to put in Jules's channel right now. Hang on. Uh-oh, hang on. Son of a bitch. Almost put in the... There is Jules's channel. I've put it in several times. So please check her out. She does great work. And I will get with her. And we will probably be back tomorrow to
just
talk
shoot me an email
about Rudy.
Yeah, just go ahead and email me.
I will send you an email. I'll send you my phone number too, and we'll get on this because I'm just, these deep dives we do around here. I mean, you've heard the creators say we're doing a deep dive.
Yeah. No, this was a good conversation. I really feel like I kind of understand a lot more now that I'm talking to somebody about it. But it's just like with Idaho, like the more that we kind of like lay out, that I'm just more confused. But I feel like I think you're onto something with the whole scam thing, insurance fraud thing.
Oh,
backfiring.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna lay it out tomorrow.
Yeah.
And hopefully it makes more sense. And I don't talk about VCRs and shag carpeting. And guys, don't forget, the word of the day is penal. Use it in a sentence anytime you can. I'm going to put something on the members tab, and you tell me how you use it in a sentence, and there will be a prize today. You guys have a blessed rest of your Friday. Make sure you check out our friend, Jules of All Trade. Thank you so much, my friend, for coming up.
Oh, thanks for asking me up. It was fun. It's a good conversation.
This has been a great conversation. I think our penal deep dive got a lot of places. I do live shows because, we work through so much stuff.
Yeah.
And obviously you've seen my videos. I'm not very good at them, whereas you're very good at yours.
And I hate doing lives. Like the thought of doing my own live gives me like too much anxiety. I just can't. I don't want to do lives myself. I'd rather jump up on here and have a conversation with somebody else than do it myself.
And then so many people have said, no, I'm not doing a live. They're like, that's you like to do lives. I do. And it's like, they're like, why don't you just do videos? And I'm like, have you seen my videos? I'm no Ridley Scott, if you know what I mean.
Oh, I think your videos are just fine. But lives are fun. I mean, I get why people like them. It's more interactive. I don't know, it gives me anxiety.
And that can be. So I hope everyone has a great rest of their Friday. Thank you to our friend Jules. Thank you to everyone for the donations to the channel. Thank you to everyone that gifted memberships. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being the best community, the best chat on YouTube. And I will see you tomorrow with our friend Jules.
Yep. Bye, guys.
Bye.